Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very festive episode of Reap the Spoils. I'm Mark Sullivan.
I'm Delilah Lugo.
I'm Jason Kwasnicki.
Jason's distracted over there. He's checking his bets on whether or not Geoff Keighley had sex with Miss Piggy again.
Jesus Christ.
Reap the Spoils is normally a semi-monthly spoiler cast where we play a game or watch a thing related to games and then spoil it. However, this episode is very special. It's very different. It's very festive because we're talking about gaming's biggest night, the Game Awards 2025. It happened last night. Almost 24 hours ago, guys. How are the raw immediate feelings following that event?
This was definitely the best one in a while. I feel like my hype for the Game Awards has definitely dissipated the past few years. I was almost tempted to not even like react to it, but I did because I got a new OLED monitor. So I was like, well, I'm gonna do this, and I didn't regret it. I was like, wow, this is great. This show was actually really good, and of course, there's pacing issues and stuff like that, towards the end. But I think that overall, the production value was a lot better, and there was a lot more entertaining things involved, and it was much more clearer when you had those commercial breaks. I feel like before they kind of all like melded together, like because it's essentially a big commercial show, right? But
yeah,
it was clearer when they were showing trailers for excitement versus when they had their little commercial corners for ads.
Here's the new update for Wuthering Waves. Here's the new update for Zenless Zone Zero, and followed by a Game Pass ad.
The amount of anime slop games that all just blend together and look exactly alike.
Yeah.
I would love to know exactly how many there were because I lost count.
I mean, there was an Arknights trailer, there was a Zenless Zone Zero, there was Wuthering Waves. I don't think there was a Genshin or Honkai Star Rail trailer this time, which is surprising given the how popular Genshin is. But I mean, yeah, man.
Yo, shiny money propping up the Game Awards. Where do you think Geoff gets it all?
But millions of people play those games, so it's like
no, I know, but I'm saying China's paying for those fucking advertising slots.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there's other ways that Geoff is getting money, and that's kind of what I want to start talking about. Just to bring us down to a bummer mood so we can only go up from here. I just want to talk a little bit before we get into the meat of the show about like some of the information that's come out about like the Game Awards in the past month or so. And I'll put both of these articles in the chat. Or not in the chat, geez. In the description, thank you. Just in case anyone isn't aware and didn't read these, didn't hear this reporting, and wants to kind of apprise themselves of some of this stuff. But both of these reports, ironically, at different outlets, one at The Guardian, one at Kotaku, but both reported by Alyssa Mercante. And the first one that came out like a month ago was talking about the future class, which if you don't know what that is, I don't blame you, and neither would anyone that was actually in it. It was kind of this group that the Game Awards would feature every year. I think it was basically like a 30 under 30 type deal from the Game Awards, trying to highlight like up and coming, like budding voices in the video games industry. Except, and it was all often like every year it was a very diverse crew of people until they basically got kind of shunted and kind of pushed to the wayside. And her reporting like really goes into how a lot of them felt tokenized, felt ignored. They brought up concerns, ideas, things that could make the show actively better and actually help them in their careers. And they basically did nothing other than put their names in a list and say, look at these people, and then never actually did anything to help them. And that goes as far as like not giving them good seats at the show, wanting to feature them, but yet not even giving them a good place to watch the show from, and not inviting them to like parties, not inviting them to basic industry events that like Kojima gets to go to, but not these people we want to put on a list somewhere. So just really good reporting all around, and just really sheds a light on, frankly, Geoff's priorities or the Game Awards priorities with the show. And I know like it's kind of ancient history. It's probably it's mostly just something I want to bring up just because it kind of plays even more into the next article I want to talk about, which is the cost to be in the Game Awards in 2025. Um, multiple. This is the article from Kotaku again from Melissa Mercante. Basically that for a minute to feature your game for a minute of time during the Game Awards cost around, what was it, $450,000,
That's crazy.
and for 3 minutes it was over $1 million.
I mean, that's
Which
like anybody who's familiar with advertising, like, and time slots for something like, say, the Super Bowl, that's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
okay, but when you're a small indie game or a small indie developer, that's not nothing. And if this is supposed to be some sort of celebration, it's just the priorities are not really in favor of featuring video games or video game developers and giving them a spotlight. It's very much about, yeah, making the money so that he can continue making the next show that features the Muppets. And that even comes down to like not offering full teams, the cost of entry to have a seat at the show because they want to sell tickets to fans so that the fans can come to the show. And like no serious award show does that. And a big part of this, which is obviously going to be a big talking point for this episode, Sandfall Interactive largely had to buy their team tickets to and we all saw them in the crowd, right? They're all wearing the striped shirts and the
The
berets.
baguettes.
They're looking
Yeah.
very free. Yeah, they're wearing the baguette. They're all there, and it's because they all bought tickets and then had to fly from France into the US, which is not a great thing to do right now, frankly. But that's what they did in order to just make sure their entire small team could attend the event, and that's just not right to me. I don't know, guys. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that, and frankly on this reporting?
I have mixed feelings about it. Because I always, I only look at things, well, that I only, but I mostly look at things through a consumer of the show lens because I just don't
Hmm.
feel equipped to understand what goes on behind the curtain and what the purpose is and why. Um, but if I had to, think about everything that you said, um, the good thing is it's showing that the show is really successful and it's getting so many, like, I think it had like over 1 million viewers, that the sort of, it's getting more expensive, right? To
Yeah.
probably produce, it's probably getting more expensive to and thus it's affecting the people that are there. However, I think if like uh, the purpose should be focused on the developers, but I don't want it to be like a developer talk. Like I still want it to be the exciting show trailers and also celebrate the developer. And I feel like this year they had a good balance of that. I feel like sometimes there was not enough focus on the developer one year, and some years there was too much focus on the developer. So I think that there needs to be a balance, and I know this is like somewhat tangentially related, um, but I think that it's kind of hard to balance those two things in a show, and I feel like they did it right this time. And I don't know if these factors contributed to that balance. Ultimately, I would rather see a developer talk about their game that they, developed in the past year that they're winning awards for than see Miss Piggy flirt with Geoff Keighley. But honestly, the Muppets were one of the more entertaining parts of the last few shows, which were not very entertaining, except those years, the Muppets was probably the more entertaining part because the rest of the show wasn't that good. Whereas this year, that there were other entertaining things, and the Muppets were like not as entertaining as they had previously been. So it's like kind of like a disorganized way of saying that I think there's pros and cons to this new approach, but it is very expensive, and I feel bad that like a team can't come together to celebrate their game together without paying like all this money, and that a small indie team that doesn't have enough money to show their game will actually like probably never be able to show their game on a forum like this, which like it is what it is, you know, like I don't know, I just feel like if this is a big show, like there can be other places for that. uh and I'll just add, it really shows because there were some trailers that were like 2 seconds long, and I was like, "Damn, I really wanted to see more." And it just like kind of got abrupt. I think Forest 3 was like the best example I can think of where I was like, "Damn, I really want to see more of this game." But because there's like this money constraint, it was kind of really apparent that they didn't show enough, and that sucks. Like if from a consumer's perspective, that sucks. So yeah, I know that was like a real like roundabout way of saying like I could see like this going both ways.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like I'm not saying. Or go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I want to slap you with some reality. What would you rather have? What we have here, or Dorito ads and Powerade ads? And look, the reality is that this shit's expensive and costs a lot of money. A, B, no other award show has the entire crew of like take for example television shows, you know, Oscars for movies. You don't have the entire fucking crew. You don't have the guy holding the boom mic showing up for, you know, when the Oscars are being awarded to, you know, Return of the King or whatever the fuck movie is sweeping the awards.
Yeah,
Like the point of all of this being that like it paying a couple what was it in that article you posted? It was like $500 for a ticket
it
for
depended on where in
even
the
for
theater.
and look, get it in the context of Sandfall. Sandfall is a much smaller studio. Obviously, I mean, granted, they just made a shit ton of money off this game and deservedly so. It doesn't seem as bad a situation as it could be, considering how much money is required to make this, and that's just the reality of it. You could have a bunch of advertisements with fucking Doritos and Powerade, or you can have a bunch of really short ads from the highest bidder within the industry, and a lot of them being Chinese-made anime slop games.
I want to be clear about something. Like I'm not saying that a whole dev team should be invited to the Game Awards because obviously that's untenable and that's unreasonable. I'm
I'm
saying
not
that
even saying that you are.
withholding.
I'm just from my
No, I
read of
know.
Mercante's article. Yeah,
I don't think she's saying that either. I think what she is saying and what I agree with is that holding back those seats so that they can be sold on Ticketmaster or whatever, you know, ticket sales platform is being used for Game Awards seats, so they can be sold to fans to come to a show and then and even have people that have to, you know, be seated at certain places that will be in camera, and there's rules for having to sit in those seats and whatnot. It's like, this isn't Whose Line Is It Anyway? You're not sitting behind Drew Carey needing to put a smile on your face at every time. Like, this is a fucking award show. And yeah, it's like the most commercialized award show out there for video games. It's mostly about the trailers than it is about the awards. I get that. That's why the viewership is so high every year. But it's still like, I don't know. I feel like we talk about this every single year. If this is going to be taken seriously, even remotely, and at this point, I don't think it ever is going to be taken seriously outside of someone winning an award, right? Because like the reporting does talk about that, and devs have talked about how gratifying it is and how worthwhile it is to win at this show and to say like you won something at the Game Awards, slap that on your box art for your Game of the Year edition. Like that's a big deal, and I'm definitely not denying that, but I do think that more could be done to have like a healthy balance of actually celebrating the people that make these games a little more, while also making money in other ways that are maybe a little more ethical, or at least a little more reasonable. But
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's definitely becoming extremely successful, which is a good thing, but it comes with sort of these more unethical practices, and corporatization of anything kind of sucks. I mean, we see it in the gaming industry, we see it in other things. But I do think that like if you really like want to look at like a prestigious developer focused award show, you probably look at the BAFTAs.
right.
And I just don't think enough fans care about that.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
no, they don't.
there's just the reality of what kind of show do you want. If you want a show like this where you have that cool sound stage set up with the big screen going around in the back, or those cool vignettes to do, and the cool presentation with the music. Understand that more money probably goes into this than the Oscars, with
Yeah,
everything they got going on
I
stage.
definitely agree with that. I'm not denying that. I'm not disputing that. It's just, if you're gonna have a show like this, and Jason, you talk about like, would you rather have the way it is now, or would you rather have Dorito ads? Like, well, we kind of do still have some semblance of that, because there are those ad breaks that have, like, as you call them, the anime slop games, whatever you want to, however you want to refer to them, and you had like we had a Game Pass ad. And we also have, there's also sponsorships. They're not deliberate ads, but like one of the
Right.
awards was sponsored by Gain. Another one was sponsored by Spotify. Like, it's not like they don't do that kind of advertising, that kind of sponsoring. They do. It's just, I guess, a little more pushed to the side. And it's also hard to like sit there and be like and talk about this without like also bringing up the fact that he did like 3 or 4 different speed runs of 4 awards each, saying, just naming off the nominees, and the award goes to this person, on to the next one, and just like sped ran them. Didn't
Sure.
give.
That's a much more valid point, I would say, than the money, because the money has to come from somewhere. That's
I
just
agree that
the
I agree
bottom
that the
line.
money has to come from somewhere. I'm not disputing that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that there's got to be better ways to do it than forcing the majority of than forcing the majority of a dev team to buy their way in and selling most of the tickets to random people that have more money than sense. That's all I'm really getting at. Um, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
frustrating, and I feel like we talk about it every year. Nothing changes, and there's just been some really good reporting about it recently that I wanted to highlight and bring up at the top of the show.
I just want to say one thing to that. I
God.
did not like that the indie award was during the pre-show.
Yeah, that
Um,
too.
I was like, I think that at this point of gaming, indie can be so. I mean, the Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the game of the year, is an indie game. Like, there's so many indie games
Well,
that are in the, well, right, but
that we'll talk about that when we talk about the award winners. But
But
go
there's a
ahead.
lot of indie games that are really, really good and that are more popular than a lot of AAA games. In fact, there's been a big shift in the gaming community towards indie versus AAA.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the interesting part of the conversation, because so many of the games featured here this year were not necessarily indie. Maybe you can call them indie. They're more double A or single A. There's a much
Well,
a broader focus, which I guess we can talk about later. But yeah,
So like I think like that specific award should be in the main show versus like I don't know content creators or whatever. I think there was like a
I completely agree with
yeah,
you. I
just fucking
completely
cut
agree.
the content creator shit altogether. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, and I think at this point, like, this has been a recurring joke that I've heard, and I think it's really funny, because I've always thought these awards are really ridiculous for this kind of award show, but not just content creator, but the esports awards. Can we just get rid of this stuff?
I know.
like, like the joke that I've heard is like, having a best esports game award is like having an award for the best sport. Like,
Right.
and the award for best sport goes to football. Like, what's the purpose? What is the point? Like, what is the criteria for this? It just doesn't. It doesn't jive with this kind of award show. It definitely doesn't jive with how the games are and the nominees are selected. And I don't think the majority of the people that are watching, or not the majority of the people watching, the majority of the people that are nominating things for the Game Awards, the majority of the jury, really follow that sort of thing anyway. Like, just leave that to its own dedicated sources, its own dedicated following, and just cut it out. Oh, and if you're gonna leave it in, yeah, make that the pre-show stuff. Don't
Sure.
fucking put best indie game in the pre-show.
Yeah.
There was another one that was in the pre-show that pissed me off. Like, why is that in the pre-show? I don't remember what was in the pre-show and not, other than indie, and I don't know if you remember, Delilah.
I don't remember,
Okay.
but I think that was the only category that was like, why is this here?
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
another one was I didn't mind this one being shoved in the pre-show too much, but best adaptation. Like, I don't know, that felt like a pretty big one to put into the
There is
pre-show.
an accessibility one. No, I'm fine with fucking The
Okay.
Last of Us 2 somehow winning Best
Yeah,
Oh
Adaptation.
I knew
God.
you were gonna. Well, okay. To be fair, the other nominees, like it was kind of a shoo-in for The Last of Us.
Well, yeah, they
Um,
should have nominated Sonic 3 the movie or Twisted Metal Season
yeah,
2.
yeah. I was kind of surprised that Twisted Metal didn't make the cut for
And
sure.
Castlevania was way better than The Last of Us, but that's a whole
I
other
mean,
thought.
it to me, it's just really funny because they made a
Anything
big
was
deal
better than
about
The Last of
having.
Us.
No, not true, buddy. I mean, I did not like the DMC or the Devil May Cry anime very
I don't know.
much.
I'm
It
being
was mid.
But
hyperbolic. I didn't see
my
any of the other
my
shit.
my point being though is that it's very funny Best Adaptation was shoved into the pre-show when Evanescence was performing
Yeah,
because they came out of retirement to write and make a new song for the Devil May Cry anime that
yeah,
was nominated for an award.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um, nah, pre-show. Get it out of here.
yeah. I'll just say
Um,
one more thing. I don't quite mind that fans are included as like part of like the ticketing thing. Like I feel like if you have the money, whatever. And I do think maybe the developer should be like reserved at least a little bit more tickets than just two, maybe
yeah.
four. But I think that like not to sound like so like negative, but I feel like the game industry, a lot of the people in there, they're just like in this like bubble where they all like have the same like brain and they think very similarly, and the awards themselves are voted by those people. So I think it's a little bit humbling to have people that aren't in that like zeitgeist mixed into this award show. And I know it doesn't affect the voting, but just in terms of like interactivity, and I feel like it would just be too like hoity-toity to just have developers there.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I don't. I think it's kind of weird, right? Like I just
It's a
don't.
complex dilemma with no perfect answer, and it's never going to be changed in a way that satisfies everybody. Is
It's
honestly
the
the bottom
fact
line.
that it is essentially a big commercialized showcase masquerading as an award show, right? And like, yeah, you as a fan of video games, as a person that plays video games, like you're gonna want to go if you want to be part of the hype behind like this big sweeping like announcement fest, like you're gonna want to buy tickets to something like that so you could be there. But it's still at the end of the day an award show, and that to me is just a weird thing to invite outside parties to. And not to mention like the fact that they I saw a post that the kid that walked onto the stage
Oh,
when Elden Ring won, like he bought a ticket and was at that show as at the show last night. It's really funny that he could just still go to the Game
yeah, he wasn't
Awards.
banned. That's
But
funny.
look, and I get where you're coming from, but you're also looking at it from, quite frankly, out of date, old school mainstream media view of it. People take this award show more seriously than they do the Oscars nowadays. More people
I
watch
don't
this
know
than they
about
do the
that.
Oscars.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
they
they're
do.
not. No, but Jason, they're not watching this show for the awards. They're watching it for the trailers.
And the award. I mean, yes, you're right. They're
No,
more
they're
watching.
watching it for the
You're you're
trailers.
right that yes, you're right that the priority is the trailers and the announcements,
Yeah.
but people are still pretty passionate about the actual awards as well, more so than again the Oscars, the Grammys, any of the traditional mainstream awards.
I
So
think
like
it's a
I think some of this is blown a little out of proportion.
I think it's a pseudo commitment. It's like you're there for the trailers and there's awards too and you get emotionally invested because of that. But you're not there for that. Or
Yes,
at
but
least the majority of the
it's
people
also
watching
just
aren't.
a difference in culture between the gaming culture versus cinema culture or television or music, et cetera, et cetera. There's one is very much rooted in old-fashioned ways of doing things. Gaming is inherently rooted in the new wave of media that is based around the internet and internet culture. It's just different. If you're looking for these game awards to be like the Oscars used to be, that's not going to happen. The Oscars are going to be
It's
gone
not that I'm
soon.
but it's and well, that's probably not true. But it's not that I want this show to be more like the Oscars or something. I just think I think year after year, my takeaway from the Game Awards is that Geoff could do better by the industry he seemingly cares so much about, and nothing really gets done in favor of that. Like at the end of the day, you got to remember that Geoff is featuring video games made by video game developers, and if he really cared about featuring their work and featuring them, he would do better by them, and he consistently doesn't. And
Mhm.
I think that needs to be brought up and talked about. It's like I understand the whole money thing. I understand that the money needs to come from somewhere. I get all these things you guys are bringing up, but at the end of the day, he's not doing enough with this show, and he has the platform and the ability to do it. I mean, this is the first year that the show was also streaming not just on Twitch, not just on YouTube, but on Amazon Prime.
Oh wow.
Like he was getting Amazon Prime money.
Hmm.
Come on. But
Yeah.
I think we need to move on from this and actually
Yeah.
start talking about the show proper. And I
Yes.
think I want to, like, every year when we talk about this, I want to start with the awards. We'll get to the hype stuff later, but I want to give the awards their due. And I think it's a good time to just talk about the elephant in the room, um which is the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 sweep.
Yep. The most
Yeah, which was
nominated, most voted for.
everybody predicted it, and it was immediately obvious when you saw where the, Sandfall was seated, right front and center.
I also think it's funny how the show, I don't think they ever started like an orchestra with one of the the Year nominees, where the literal Game Awards logo dissipated into the flowers, and then they started
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
musical performance. I was like, wow, it's almost as if they know.
see, but I wanna push back. I mean, it's possible, right? But I do want to push back on that a little bit because a friend brought that up to me, and I sat there and looked at it a little differently. He always gets these musical guests, right? And in years past, like last year, it was Snoop Dogg,
Yeah.
and like I think Snoop Dogg had like some very very minor tangential thing to do with video games at the time. I have no idea what that current day thing is like. But like Jeff's also gotten like Green Day performing at one of his shows. It might not have been the Game Awards. He's got Weezer performing, I think, at Summer Game Fest one year. He gets these like big named artists, and they don't ever have anything to do with video games. So I think that opening the show with like this very very awesome performance of music from Expedition 33, like that's kind of what this show needs more of, and I thought it was excellent. Like
Yeah.
well,
actually
Absolutely.
featuring.
how often do you have a game with a soundtrack that is tracking the top of the charts of Spotify on its own for pretty significant periods of time? Like,
Yeah, I'm just all I'm really calling out is that, like, in 2023, maybe he should have had a performance from the Primals with Soken on stage,
oh, sure,
jamming
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Maybe like every year there should be more of that kind of thing where they
Yeah.
actually have the musicians that make the music for these games do their performances instead of getting fucking Taylor Swift. Uh,
Yeah.
Not that that's happened yet, but I wouldn't put it past Geoff to one year do that.
Hey,
Um,
man, I was fine with Cyndi Lauper popping out for a bit at the end of the show. That was awesome. I love Cyndi Lauper,
when did
but
Cyndi Lauper
didn't
pop
she
out?
pop out for a bit in the game orchestra at the end?
Oh,
Oh,
I
I
don't
thought that
know.
was another
Maybe I'm
show.
Yeah,
wrong. I thought it was Cyndi
I don't know
Lauper.
what you're talking about.
I might be
Hold on.
completely wrong.
I can fact check whether or not that was Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper, was that her at the Game Awards? Game Awards. Uh no, I don't think so. Or at least I'm not finding anything
Okay,
obvious
edit that
that's a
out then.
Cyndi
I'm a fucking
Lauper.
idiot.
No, I'm gonna leave it in. But
Yeah, I agree.
anyway,
There definitely should be more music performances from games. Like when they did the Alan Wake one, I was like, "Oh, this is so
oh my
fun."
god, yeah, that fucking. I mean,
I
Jason, I'm
mean,
sure you
I know.
hated
Evanescence,
that, but
Evanescence here was fucking awesome. I
Yeah, it
was
yeah,
like,
was
wake
and
me
again,
up.
and again, that had to do with something in video games. They did a new single for
Oh,
the Devil May Cry
I don't care
anime.
if it's part of video games. It's just like
But that's what I'm
I'm part of
saying,
that
Jason.
demographic that actually knows what Evanescence was. Yeah.
Jason's like, take me back to the mid 2000s, baby.
Wake
I'm
I
me
there.
up.
def
It wasn't even that was like 2002. Like,
yeah, 2003.
Was that? No, there's no way.
Yeah, it was
No, don't,
That was the Ben
Yeah, I
Affleck
think I was
Daredevil
like
movie.
18.
oh, you're right. Daredevil was like,
Wake
oh
me up
no. I'm so old.
Was seeing her perform,
with
seeing them
fucking
perform,
Colin Farrell
I felt
playing
that way.
Bullseye.
Yeah. He rocked
Definitely.
that.
And in that scene, they had House of Pain playing while he's shooting the darts. Yeah,
Do you like that movie, Jason?
I've never watched it all the way through. No,
What? Oh, it's a bad movie, but I love it.
I know that's why I've never watched it all the way through.
You should.
Even
You
as a
should.
child, I knew that was a bad movie.
The director's cut is actually pretty competent.
I've heard that.
But
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to find that, weirdly. It's hard to find the director's cut today. Anyway, okay, we're not talking about Daredevil from starring Ben Affleck
The
and Jennifer Garner. Um,
Expedition winning 9 out of 11 awards was
yeah,
well deserved, but very predictable.
yeah. So Expedition 33, and also we can go ahead and say like Expedition 33 was nominated for 13 awards.
Oh.
It started off just with 12, and then when Player's Choice came through, it was one of the finalists for Player's Choice, so that bumped it up to 13. But yeah, it didn't win Player's Choice because
That's so funny.
it didn't win Player's Voice. I'm sorry, it's called Player's Voice. It
yeah.
didn't win because a
Apparently,
gotcha game always wins.
Yeah, Wuthering Heights was offering in-game rewards for votes.
Wuthering Heights, yes.
Really? It was
Well,
offering in-game
Yes.
awards? Oh, wow.
that's how Genshin historically has won every year, is because they offer an in-game award if you vote for it, and it winds up winning.
Wow. Okay.
It's kind of a useless, pointless award if we're being honest. Because if it's so easy to game that way, there's not really a point of even doing it. But that being said, also Jason, Wuthering Heights is a novel by
I know. I know. I
Is it
thought
Emily Bronte or Charlotte Bronte? One
That
of the
sounds
Brontes.
right, Emily.
I know Wuthering Heights. Yes, I'm aware. I just didn't know the actual name of the game because I had no idea it was a thing until it won.
Yeah,
Which
you
kind
play
of
as
to the point.
Heathcliff. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it was nominated for that in the end, but
then
it was
Emily
also
gets
nominated.
sick, and then
All right.
and then you got to put the book in the freezer.
All right. So yeah, Expedition 33, it won Best Role-Playing Game, it won Best Independent Game, as we discussed, Best Debut Indie Game, it won Best Score and Music, Jennifer English won Best Performance for Mael, Best Score and Music, yeah, Lorien Testard, Best Art Direction, Best Narrative, Best Game Direction, and Game of the Year. The only nominations it didn't win were Best Audio Design, which, like, we can talk briefly about, went to Battlefield 6. I don't really have much to say on that.
That makes sense. It makes sense to go to a game. Yeah.
I mean, it's either like an action game, or not even action, like a first-person shooter where like audio is like a big thing, or a horror game, and like Silent Hill F was nominated for it.
Right.
So it's like I feel like it was more likely to go to either of those two anyway. It went to Battlefield 6, so that's fine. And the other awards that it didn't win, besides Player's Voice and Best Audio Design, were the other two nominees for Best Performance. Because Ben Starr was nominated for Verso, and Charlie Cox was nominated for Gustav.
I've heard others say this, and I was thinking the same thing last night. I think given now we have a much broader array of voice actors in the video game industry that are recognizable, and we're getting way more of it, and with the diversity of roles, I think it's time, if you're gonna really start taking the actual awards seriously, you're gonna need to separate it and create a main voice versus supporting voice award, similar to like best main versus best supporting actor, actress, etc.
I don't disagree with that.
I think that would make sense, like especially considering like Andy Serkis wasn't even nominated when he should. Like you could have fucking made the whole row of things.
And that's the problem. It could have been like the entire cast of Expedition 33, but they weren't going to do that. But it's also like, I feel like we would still be stuck in the same.
If you deserve the award, you deserve the award. I mean, like I would have taken either Ben Starr or English. I think English
I
very much earned it, no question.
Yeah.
But also like Charlie Cox did a fucking phenomenal job as Gustav. And you can argue whether or not he was a main or supporting character, but that would have been one you could have pulled down, especially considering like I heard people. I have yet to play Dispatch, but people were talking about like how there were no nominees for Dispatch or
Well, and we can talk about
yeah.
that shortly as to why
But
that occurred.
but by not having a supporting and a main divergence, you have to snub a lot of people who at least deserve to be nominated.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I think best how do you want to call it, like best lead performance and best supporting performance. I think that's perfectly a very good suggestion that we'll never see. But the people, the cast members of Expedition 33 were pushing for another split that I also agree with, and that is best voice performance and best motion capture
Yeah.
performance, which I also think is necessary because Charlie Cox, to bring him up, did the voice work but didn't do the mocap. And
Mhm.
he was like one of the big advocates of saying uh there should be a nomination for the guy that did the mocap for Gustav. I just did the voice. And yeah, I think that's another kind of issue with having just this one category for acting in video, a medium that now is full of acting, you know.
I see. So like Aaron Paul, for example, in Dispatch wouldn't get nominated because it was more of like a just voice versus mocap situation?
No, so the reason Dispatch didn't really get many nominations was because of timing.
Mm.
So Alana, I can put this in the description as well. Alana Pierce did a video because she used to write for, or used to work at IGN, and went through Rooster Teeth
She's
and,
very fond of reminding everybody.
well, yeah, okay, but anyway,
So, no,
all
it's
right,
just I always like to joke because she starts every sentence with "back when I worked at IGN."
okay, that was a terrible impersonation.
Sorry, I can't do an Aussie. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah.
I can do other ones,
Anyway,
but
I'll put her video in the description, but basically she went into how the kind of jury nomination process goes for the Game Awards because she's pretty familiar with it and she's done it for a long time. And the reason Dispatch kind of got snubbed was because seemingly for the nomination submissions from the jurors, um they had to be submitted by like November 4th, I think, and the nominations were announced November, I don't have the date off the top of my
But
head.
if that's the case, then how is it that they got nominated for Best Debut Indie?
I guess because there were slim pickings on debut indie titles this year. I don't know. Like,
Mm.
it's possible people did that in time when the first few episodes were out because, by that point they had recognized that, man, this game is going to be is really good so far, and I think it deserves to be nominated here. That's just a potential reason, but the fact of the matter was when the nominations were announced, I don't think Dispatch had even released all its episodes yet. So it wasn't a finished game, and a lot of people probably didn't feel comfortable nominating it for many awards. Um, but it also is in a weird space of having started to release before it can be eligible for next year. And it's also just kind of in that awkward space of just being very early in the nomination cycle for next year. So by the time nominations come out for next year's Game Awards, a lot of people are going to forget about it and not
Yeah.
really consider it for anything because it's just out of sight, out of mind. So that's really the reason Dispatch, or seemingly the reason Dispatch, didn't get nominated for much. A lot of it comes down to timing and the fact that it's episodic and kind of crossing those lines of due dates and stuff like that, which
That's
is
fair.
unfortunate.
I just hate that there's like picking and choosing, like, oh, if we're slim pickings on one award, we can nominate it, but if we're stacked in another award, we won't even consider it. When if you just play one episode of Dispatch, it's very apparent that the voice work in that game is phenomenal. And so I just like wish that perhaps they had one less. Maybe they should limit it to like one voice actor per game and just like choose.
no,
That way there's more
That's
space.
like so
no.
impossible. Like, I mean, just with Clair Obscur, like
Yeah, with
you can't
Honestly,
say Ben
yeah.
Starr over Jennifer English or vice versa. I feel like that's
true.
impossible.
The point being is there are a growing number now of it's no longer just Troy Baker and fucking Laura Bailey. Like there's a wider variety of actors and actresses that people know the names. It's becoming much more prevalent in the industry to have a lot of voice acting. So separate it into lead and supporting to get a more variety of nominations of people who deserve at least to be nominated,
Yeah,
if not win yet.
I definitely agree with the additional performance awards. I think that would be a really good way of highlighting a lot of these things, and giving more visibility to a lot of the great acting we see in video games.
I do wish Aaron Paul got nominated though. Just
Yeah,
want to
and
say that.
that's fine. I don't disagree with any of the nominees. I mean, I haven't played Indiana Jones, but from what I understand, Troy Baker's impersonation of Harrison Ford is really, really good. But at the same time, it's an impersonation of Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I actually was kind of disappointed that he didn't get nominated for Higgs. You know, love or hate Death Stranding 2, like I think his performance as Higgs was really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think I talked about that in our Death Stranding 2 episode. So
Mhm.
I was kind of surprised that he didn't get a nomination for, or that there wasn't a Death Stranding 2 nomination at all, given how filmic that game is. Leah Sado not getting a nomination for Fragile.
Yeah.
I'm totally ambivalent about Norman Reedus and Sam Porter Bridges.
He doesn't talk much.
I didn't think he put on more emotion in Death Stranding 2 than I feel he did in the first game, but it's still like, yeah, there were far better actors in Death Stranding 2. But it's moot because none of them got a nomination for that game. I was really surprised by that. That's
Yeah,
kind of
I
all I want to say.
agree. It sucks that
And like
yeah.
and like all things considered, I'm surprised Charlie Cox got nominated for Gustav,
Yeah.
only because it meant pushing the nominations for Clair Obscur Expedition 33 to 3 performance nominations. I
Right.
don't want to belittle. I'm not trying to belittle Charlie Cox's performance. I thought it was
Right.
excellent. It's just that meant 3 slots were taken by Expedition
Yeah, I
33.
think it was a bit
And
excessive.
I don't think it was excessive. I think they earned it. Honestly,
I
I
I'm
think
think
not
the
saying they
entire
didn't.
yeah.
It's just a
No.
lot.
I'm saying like if I'm even trying to be objective and take my own feelings of the game away, I think that entire category could have been filled with voice actors from that game over the other people nominated in the category.
yeah, I
But
agree with that.
again, all I was saying was create a lead and supporting category.
I
Maybe even
and a
split it into
mocap.
male and and a mocap, and maybe even split it
I
into male
don't
and female.
I don't think you need to do the separation of sex. I think that starts getting or the separation of gender. I think that starts getting that starts splitting hairs, especially when you consider a lot of actors in video games are non-binary. I think that keeping it lead support, making a lead, a supporting, and a mocap would be the ideal way to go, and that would allow for more people to get featured, more people to get awards, and kind of get their dues for their performances. I think that would be a really good change, which means that we'll never see it, right? We'll never see that change because we've had the same exact categories, the same exact awards for the past how many years now?
Yeah. Well, regardless, we knew either Verso
Yeah,
or Mael were gonna win, no matter who got
Right.
nominated.
Out
So
of curiosity, I don't know if you guys voted, but who did you vote for
I
between
voted
these
for
two?
Ben Starr, but it was also because of other performances he had that I wish he gotten credit
I did
for.
not
But
vote.
then again, Jennifer English also has a lot of performances that I wanted her to get credit for. So honestly, it was like neck and neck for me. I
It's
would equally happy. I wish I could have
it's
voted for both.
Yeah,
it's
I
like a
mean that.
funny thing of like 2023. Ben Starr was Clive, and Jennifer English was Shadowheart.
Shadowheart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like,
Well,
well, gotta make it up to them for 2023, and then it's
yeah.
like, oh shit, we can only make it up to one of you.
If I
Yeah.
was truly forced to, like, I would have to. I was fine with either of them winning.
Me too.
I could see why Jennifer English does because she's effectively the main character of that story. Um,
Yeah.
but Ben Starr, if I had to pick, it would be Ben Starr just because in both 16 Final Fantasy 16 um and Clair Obscur, he had just one line towards the end in each of them. I won't spoil it. That just really hit like emotionally in a way that
Mhm.
I generally don't get hit by voice acting in games.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. But
Yeah.
Jennifer English, I believe, earned it just as much as he did.
Yeah, I also voted for Ben Starr, because I really like Ben Starr, but at the same and because I thought like I said, it could have gone either way, and I would have been happy. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked Jennifer English's speech too. I thought it was very cute and very kind and very nice.
Yeah.
I felt seen. Anyway, um, so yeah, like we talked a lot about best performance. Let's also talk about some of the other ones that it won. Best in and let's talk about the whole indie game of it. You know, the fact that it won best independent game and the best debut indie game. And best independent game, it won over Absalom, Ball Pit. The X is silent. Blueprints, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. And best debut indie game, it won over Blueprints, Despalote, and Dispatch. Megabonk, as we all know, and I guess if you aren't following these things as closely, Megabonk was originally nominated but rescinded by request of the developer because he has developed games before and just changed the name of how he developed this game and didn't feel comfortable being nominated for best debut indie game, which I think is really like a really honorable thing to do. Frankly, I
Sure.
Yeah.
really liked that he just did that.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, and I hear Megabonk is really fun. Anyway, I kind of want to check it out.
Yeah, I like Vampire Survivors more.
Yeah. But the reason I want to talk about this is because what the fuck does indie even mean anymore? When Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a game that has a publisher, is nominated for these things. And then when you also look at Best Independent Game, Absalom has a publisher. Ball Pit
Mhm.
has a publisher. Blueprints has a publisher. The only two true indie games that were nominated for these two awards were Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Dispatch.
Yeah, it's a good question. I really don't know how to define it anymore. And I feel like that's also kind of cool because it's just like the
Well,
success is.
yeah. To just piggyback off of that, the success is a good thing, A, and B, it might even mean that, hey, you can get rid of this. Because originally, the categories were there to give chances to games that wouldn't otherwise get a chance to be recognized or nominated. Um, but we're at a point where no, indie games are actually a lot of the time, even most of the time, more successful than fucking AAA games.
Silksong broke the
Yeah,
internet the day
yeah.
it released.
So
Like
going back to
and prior to that, it was the most wishlisted game on Steam, I think.
so to just
Like,
piggyback that off of what we were just saying, get rid of these indie categories. Use because a lot of this choosing which awards to acknowledge is also just programming running time, how much time you have for what within the course of the couple hours you have for the show. Get rid of the indie titles or the indie awards or the indie designated awards, and use that to broaden in other categories. But
I mean, and I also think part of the well,
because it doesn't really it served its purpose already at this point. Indie games are up there with AAA.
but
Yeah.
alternatively, it's like independent game is almost treated as a genre alongside like best action adventure and whatnot. Like
Right.
that's really how they're treated. You look at a game and you're like, oh, that's an indie game. Where like if you look at Battlefield, you wouldn't say that. You'd say, "Oh, that's a first-person shooter." Right?
Mhm.
I mean, in this case, it's considered an action game, but that's because, I mean, what does genre even mean? It's very nebulous.
Mhm.
It's just the fact of the matter is, it's a
Although
category that
these indie games are also winning best awards in actual genres. Yeah,
well, yeah, I mean, because yeah, I mean, you wouldn't not call Hades an action game, but like
right.
it's also a truly independent game. Supergiant Games is an independent studio. They don't have publishers outside of themselves. They publish their titles. And I'm not trying to take away from the game these games, right? Like Blueprints, I have yet to play further. I played a couple hours into it, but like it all for all intents and purposes seems like a phenomenal puzzle game.
Hmm.
Um, but it has a publisher and like but you look at it and you say, "Oh, well that's an indie game." It's like, "Well, what does that mean anymore? If a
Yeah.
game has a publisher, what does it mean to be independent
I think
and
they might
or
have been
indie?"
looking at the size. I don't know how big Kepler is, but
It's like, but like, how do you define that in terms of having a snappy
It's
name for
Clair.
an award? Best
Yeah, 'cause
small team game,
yeah, I don't know.
or best game with a budget under
Like,
X a
I
million dollars.
I
Like,
agree with you. Like having indie categories is kind of a relic of a bygone era when indie games were like a new novel thing.
yeah, like when
Back in the
we
early
were
days of
getting
like
Xbox Live Arcade.
Shuhei Yoshida was like making a big deal of them on the PlayStation Store, but now they're
Yeah,
now he
that
does.
too.
It's a relic of a bygone era that I think
So the
the term
way
needs
that
to
the
just
Game
go.
Awards defines it is outstanding creative and technical achievement in games made outside of the traditional big publisher system.
Yeah, but what does that? Outside of the traditional big publisher system, so like Devolver Digital is
Yeah, so it's probably because
a
Kepler.
publicly traded company. Is not, is not a big publisher by the
Yeah,
standards of like
they probably fit.
Microsoft or Sony.
Technically, they probably fit it in because Kepler is not that big. I don't think.
Yeah, Kepler is small, but like Devolver is the one that sticks out to me, like
No, I
in a
agree. I
lot of
agree with
ways.
you.
Like
I agree with you.
Devolver's
I
not
agree with you
small time
overall.
anymore.
I agree
Yeah.
with you overall that the term is kind of useless and defunct, and you know,
Yeah, it's like
brought in awards elsewhere. Yeah.
I'm not advocating to get rid of these awards. I'm just advocating for having a little more clarity on like changing the
Yeah.
name or the criteria in which a game can get because best independent game just doesn't make sense to nominate games that have publishers. It's not indie. It's not
Yeah.
independent. And it meant it like frankly, I think there also needs to be like a puzzle game category, and like there needs to be more genre categories to take some of these games and give them their dues. The fact that like Blueprints kind of got snubbed because it got lumped in with friggin' Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which was going to sweep, like it's just kind of a big bummer. And I know a lot of people are kind of disappointed about that because a lot of people really loved that game. A lot of people like Ball Pit has been like raising the roof recently. And Silk Song and Hades 2, these two gigantic indie games, truly independent. They didn't really win big and and really get much attention. And it's just, I feel like there just needs to be a change to the criteria for some of these things.
Well, to be fair,
I've long
Silk Song won the what is it, adventure genre, or whatever.
Yeah, but okay, but the thing about those two, and I guess we could talk about those two real quick, is Silk Song won Best Action Adventure Game and Hades 2 won Best Action Game. They were always
Which
going
was
to.
yeah, which was kind of,
The-
and I was surprised that Kingdom, Jesus Christ, did I just say Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 did not win RPG. I thought they were gonna toss it RPG.
because Expedition 33 was in there and it was
Yeah,
going to sweep.
no. I understand that, but like, if I was in control of everything, I would have given Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 best RPG because just from the standpoint of a pure RPG, it is a much more complex, deeper RPG, and it's also just a nut for a game that deserved it. In the same way that Silk
Yeah,
Song and Hades 2 got their recognition within the genre.
but I think you're looking at it as if there's being careful consideration to make sure games that deserve their dues get them. This is just what the jury submits their nominations and then they submit their votes for the things that are nominated. So if
And I'm sure
you're,
a lot of the jury didn't even fucking play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So
I mean, there's no evidence to point to yes or no on that. But the fact of the matter
it's just a
is,
very, considering who is on the jury and the kind of game it is, it's a very deep, complex, time-intensive game.
I mean,
that is not very
the jury
accessible.
is you got to remember the
Games
jury is
media.
huge.
Yeah, they're games.
Yeah, but it's
games media,
yes, but it's games. Well, I think games media and developers, but it's all across the world. It's not just like the U.S. It's like a ton of different countries and games media outlets from those countries. But the point that I'm getting at is that if you're having a jury that is so staunchly awarding or nominating Expedition 33 so heavily for so many things, like it's a shoo-in. It's just a shoo-in to win that by default because everyone that
Sure.
nominated it is going to vote for it.
Sure.
And
No, I get it.
by
No,
that
I
same
get
by
why.
that
I get. Look, I get why it won.
by
Yeah.
hold on, because but I want to bring this back to the best action and action adventure. By the same logic, Hades 2 in best action game, which was the nominees were Hades 2, Battlefield 6, Doom: The Dark Ages, Ninja Gaiden 3, and Shinobi: Art of Vengeance. All of those fantastic games from what I've heard. But the only one that was nominated for Game of the Year was Hades 2. So inherently, if it's the same
Wait,
situation as like 2020,
Silk Song wasn't nominated for
Silk
that?
Song was in Best Action and Adventure. It wasn't Best Action. I'm just
No,
going
no,
with
but
a Best Action for the example.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So for Best Action Game, those 5 nominees, Hades 2, Battlefield 6, Doom: The Dark Ages, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Shinobi: Art of Vengeance. The only one that was nominated for Game of the Year was Hades 2. If Hades 2 is good enough to be nominated for Game of the Year, and it's nominated in that category, it's by default going to win.
I see
And
what you're saying.
action and adventure was somewhat tricky because action adventure had Hollow Knight Silk Song, Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and Split Fiction. And Death Stranding 2 was also nominated for Game of the Year. So that one could have gone either way, but again, it was either one of those games that was bound to win. And yeah, it was, and if you ask me, it was always going to be Silk Song. The game that broke the internet was going to win that category.
Right.
But that's the thing, is like, if your game is nominated for one of those genre categories and it's nominated for Game of the Year, well, guess what? It just won that genre category, and you don't even have to wait for the show to know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, to bring that back to best role playing game, which again was another layup, or another toss up of, well, Expedition 33 is nominated, so is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but it was always going to be Expedition 33. There was no question.
Yeah.
And those are like the 3 categories where it's like, yeah, you kind of go in knowing exactly who's going to win those
if you're being
categories.
purely logical, yeah. I'm just saying that if I was in control of everything, of all the awards, I would, even if it didn't necessarily make sense, I would have just given it to Kingdom Come Deliverance for RPG
But there is no
acknowledge
one
it.
person. There is no
I know that.
one person or
No,
even one small group of people
Yes.
that are in
No,
charge
no.
of this.
No, I know that. I'm just saying if I was.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying. Is that just, and I'm not even saying that Expedition 33 did not deserve to sweep and win all those awards.
Yeah, I would be shocked if you had
Yeah.
that feeling.
No, it's Return of the King of fucking video games. It's the best game in the fucking past 2 decades. Are you fucking shitting me?
All
Yeah.
right. All
I
right.
was just
Tone
gonna
it
say it's
down.
no surprise that it's winning, but I do personally, when I vote, which my vote is like not even 10%, because I'm
Yeah.
not part of the jury, I definitely try to like spread things around, but I only vote based off the games that I played, right? So because I hadn't played some of the other games that were nominated, I kind of like Kingdom Come, for example, which I do want to play, but I didn't vote for that. But I do like Jason's idea. Like, I personally also like to spread it out a little bit to give other people their flowers. But I also feel like Expedition winning this is just, I think it's great and well deserved regardless. Also, same thing with the examples Jason was giving about how if it's Game of the Year, it's going to win the category it's in. Another example would have been Donkey Kong in the family game category. Just
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
support that decision, that point that you made. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy that a quote unquote indie game won Game of the Year, especially in all these categories, because it's just nice to see a game that just really deserves it all.
Yeah, I hope it. Yeah, I agree. Like, this was Clair Obscur was my Game of the Year. We haven't we kind of need to start talking about some other categories here. Yeah, I think there's really no disputing best score in music, Expedition 33 over Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Just real quick, I just want to say, I think the real wedge here is that whether or not you look at it from a purely logical perspective of, if it's Game of the Year contender, it has to win, or do you look at it more from like a political feel, emotion? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to be purely straight logical about it, or are you going to kind of feel it out? I think that's really where the difference lies there.
I do think more categories of different genres, like horror and puzzle games, like you guys said before, would be nice to kind of spread the love a little bit more.
It's not even about spreading. I mean, I guess it is a little bit about spreading the love.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
what I mean by purely logical versus are we feeling it out?
Yeah, it's difficult to have a game. I don't envy any other RPG that came out this year, right? It's not like
I don't envy
It's
any
not
other
like
game that came out this year that
yeah, that no, you're not wrong, but it's not like last year where I feel last year we got a ton of like incredible RPGs and it was genuinely hard to predict who would have won last year. And like the winner of that category was Metaphor, and I don't disagree with that whatsoever. But like there were
sure.
so many other good RPGs that came out last year, and it was definitely a difficult choice to say, well, which one's gonna win. But like this year, yeah, it was definitely like yeah, Clair
Easier.
Obscur.
Yeah.
Clair Obscur was the only RPG, or it was the only RPG that was bound to win that. Like nothing against Kingdom Come Deliverance. I haven't played it. I don't frankly have much interest. Um, but like just given the not even the communal opinion of Clair Obscur, but like the critical opinion, widespread praise on that game, it was like always bound to win that award. And like every other award that it got nominated for. Speaking of best score in music, I talked about best art direction. It won over Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. Won best narrative over Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and Silent Hill F. That last one I thought was a little funny. um, it also won best game direction over Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2, and Split Fiction, which is one I do want to talk about a little bit. And obviously, it won Game of the Year over Death Stranding 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So, like, I don't think we're in disagreement on like it whether or not it deserved any of the things that it got. I think it totally did. It was far and away like one of the best games to come out this year, if not the best game to come out this year,
And they
in our
all did a good
opinions.
job with their speeches, keeping it concise to the point, but also pretty heartfelt. Gave fucking Sakaguchi a shout out at the final game. That
Yeah,
was like awesome. He's like, my boy Sakaguchi
I mean,
inspired me to make games and put to bed all the people on the internet like, oh,
I also love
Clair
that.
Obscur is not a JRPG, it's an FRPG. She's like, shut the fuck up. It's a JR, it's fucking Final
oh
Fantasy. It's
yeah,
just made in
no,
France.
I
Like
didn't know people were really that adamant about it.
they are. I mean, it's the same thing. Not to. I don't want to hash it out again, but like there are people who don't consider Clair Obscur an RPG period who are like purists that thought Kingdom Come should have won in that category for that reason. But
Any other year they wouldn't have made that argument, but anyway, I wanted to say that I think wow, I just had a brain fart again. I was gonna say it while Jason was talking. I'm so sorry. I'm getting
Oh
old.
no,
I'm getting
we all
dementia.
are.
Oh my god. Oh, for what their speeches, that's what it was. Them saying, tomorrow comes and for those who come after. I felt like
Yeah.
it was just so good. And also for those who come after for a game of the year thing is so like it's such a perfect thing to say, not just
yes,
to hype the game, but also like that they'll be awarding the 2026 game of the year person
Yeah,
or
true.
developers. So that was really cool. Sorry, you could
it's
cut
like
out
Yeah.
my brain
the Larian guy's speech and how
Yeah.
except it's actually a quote from the game. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, okay, let's go. Let's get through some of these other awards here. Games for Impact, which is another one of those nebulous awards that doesn't really, get much clarity on what the criteria is for it. But that went to South of Midnight. The other nominees were Consume Me, Despelote, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, and Wanderstop. Um, I do want to play Despelote, and Consume Me looks fun. And South of Midnight is, well, now it's gonna be on my list when it comes to PlayStation 5. Um, because I've definitely been interested in that one, but I can't be bothered to use my Xbox ever anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
I heard like artistically it was cool in the music, but I heard the gameplay was so awful that
I mean,
people wished it was just cut out.
it was kind of a weird, like, it was a weird choice to make it like an action game in that style that it was, you know. I love the aesthetics, I love the setting and the and all the I guess the presentation of it all, but the gameplay does look very strange. It's almost like Silent
Mhm.
Hill F having the combat that it does, and I'm like,
Mm.
Yeah,
it's a weird choice. But anyway, best ongoing game went to No Man's Sky. I don't know if that's won that before.
I think it did.
it's been
I vaguely
nominated.
remember
Oh
in
yeah, it gets nominated
2020.
every year. Okay.
In 2020, I think Sean Murray was drinking beer, and when everyone had their like cameras, and he was convinced he wasn't gonna win, and then it got announced, and he was like, I guess I gotta stop
Oh,
drinking my beer.
I think I remember that now. Yeah, now that you bring
Yeah,
that
that's
up.
another. Just a quick note. It seems like they imposed some rules regarding alcohol, so people did not seem shit faced when they were on stage this year.
Oh well,
That's yeah.
Delilah's referring to the fact that in 2020 the Game Awards was
No,
virtual,
I
so
know.
he was
No. I know.
home getting drunk.
It's just that it was something I noted while I was watching. Is everybody was pretty concise and on time, and not like
Uh-oh.
Al
I thought
Pacino
They
shit
didn't.
faced
They
from an open bar.
they didn't.
Mila Jovovich was sloshed.
What they
No,
didn't.
that's
They
just
didn't.
Mila Jo. That's just her.
That's just her.
No one was allowed to smoke a fat one like Christopher Judge before going up on stage.
I love
Um,
that.
and yes, you're correct, Delilah. Or No Man's Sky did win Best Ongoing in 2020. So I mean it's cool. Like that game has
Yeah.
been getting like consistent updates that seem to have a shit ton of content. So that's really
Massive
cool.
updates. Yeah, I went back and played it, and
Um,
it's deserved.
yeah,
It's one of the few games to like Cyberpunk redeem themselves in the eyes of the larger gaming space. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
great. I remember feeling so bad for that guy.
Yeah, it won that game, or it won that award over Don't Laugh, Jason, Final Fantasy 14,
Oh, yeah,
Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and Marvel Rivals.
Mm.
yeah,
Which
deservedly so.
I think I was thinking Marvel Rivals might get that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm good for Sean Murray, good for Hello Games, No Man's Sky, awesome. Best community support, it went to Baldur's Gate 3 over Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. I'm kind of surprised because I thought Baldur's Gate 3 got its final big update last year. So, like, I don't know, like, what community support is there necessarily for Baldur's Gate 3 nowadays?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just
I
beat
mean,
the
it's a very big game. I'm sure there are tons of bugs. They also have implemented updates. I think they might
I
have
mean,
added content too. I'm not
well,
sure.
no, I'm saying, but well, no, my point is that I thought that the last update for that game came out last year. So I'm just wondering, like, in this year's cycle, like, community support, like, what does that really mean for a game like that at this rate? I'm just not sure. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve it. I just don't know the criteria for that kind of award. But anyway, moving on. Best mobile game. I mean, I doubt this, but have either of you played Uma Musume Pretty Derby?
No, but I looked
No.
at a trailer and it's like little chibi anime girls riding horses.
Yeah.
No. The chibi anime girls are the horses.
There are the horses, right?
Yes.
And I love how he said like amazing. I don't know if you guys caught on to that. I was like, wow, that's
Oh, I
perfect.
didn't. Oh, that's really good. But yeah, Uma Musume Pretty Derby won over Destiny Rising, Persona 5, Sonic Rumble, and Wuthering Waves, which, like, the only competition it really had was Wuthering Waves. I heard pretty bad things about Persona 5 The Phantom X and Sonic Rumble, and I didn't really hear anything about Destiny Rising, so that doesn't really give it much confidence. But yeah, Uma Musume made big waves when it came out, so I was pretty certain that was going to win. None of us really follow VR or AR, but Midnight Walk won over Alien Rogue Incursion, Arcane Age, Ghost Town, and Marvel's Deadpool VR. I didn't know much about most of these games, but Midnight Walk looks cool. And
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers and liking the aesthetics.
yeah, and I've been wanting to play Alien Rogue Incursion, so it's funny. I think they just released a version of that is non VR playable. So like you don't need a VR headset to play it anymore. You can get the non VR version, but pretty cool. Okay, we talked through best action, action adventure, role playing, fighting game. None of us really follow fighting games much, I don't think. But this went to Fatal Fury over 2XKO, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and Virtua Fighter 5 Revo World Stage. I was a little surprised about this. Because I mean, again, do you guys know much about any of the games that I just laid
I'm
out?
pretty sure like a new Tekken came out this year, right? And it
No,
wasn't
that
that
was last
great.
year.
Or that
That
was
was
last
last
year.
year. But you're right in that people are pretty unhappy about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played any of these games.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
I was
mean,
just surprised because the conversation around Fatal Fury hasn't been particularly positive, at least not in what I've heard. So I was a little surprised at that one over like 2XKO or even like Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. So,
Hmm. Mhm.
but yeah, Delilah alluded to it earlier, but best family game obviously went to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Again, it's a situation of it was good enough to be nominated for Game of the Year, so it was going to win best family. And also, what does best family game mean? A lot of these categories are just like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
right.
But Donkey Kong Bonanza got that over Lego Party, Lego Voyagers, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and Split Fiction. Um, I want to talk about Split Fiction. I'm surprised that it won nothing this
I'm
year.
not. I mean, I enjoyed the game, but it was nothing compared to It Takes Two. And I although I did like the story a little bit more, it still wasn't like wow. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a good game. I don't know. I'm fine with it not winning anything.
Hmm.
These
I
things, uh, these things do not interest me in the least bit. And honestly, they seem like a pretty niche thing. It's not that surprising to
Jason's
me.
like Jason's like fuck your family. I don't give a shit about that.
Well, no, no, no. I'm just saying these like the split fiction and these like co-op centric games like that. That's kind
It
of a
Takes
niche.
Two.
It's a very niche thing. Yeah.
Oh, see, as someone that plays many a video game with their wife, I live for these kinds of games.
Yeah, but
We
that's not a very common thing.
Same
no,
people
but
have
like
they're maidenless.
they're maidenless, right?
And I'm saying that as a married guy. Like,
I mean, I was a big advocate for. I mean, it won in 2021, but like I was a big advocate for It Takes Two winning Game of the Year, and
Yeah,
it
me
won
too.
it,
look,
and like that was a great game.
I'm not besmirching the quality of the games. I've
Oh, I
never
know you're
touched
not.
them.
I know you're not.
The point I'm
But
making is that they don't have a broad appeal.
I don't know about that, but I think there's a growing appeal, and it's bigger than you think. It's just like I don't know. The Joseph Fares connection. I'm surprised he didn't even talk this year. Given how buddy he is with Geoff, and the fact that Split Fiction nominated for best family game, also nominated for best multiplayer game, which it was nominated alongside Peak, Elden Ring, Night Rain, and Battlefield 6, but ultimately lost to Arc Raiders. um I don't know. I kind of thought Split Fiction might win best multiplayer at the very least, but Arc Raiders was far and away like such a big hit when it finally came out. So
Yeah. Also, I kind of love that guy. It was my first time seeing his like presence, and I was like, damn, like he like could have been a priest if he wasn't a game dev.
who
He has like
the Arc
Jesus
Raiders
vibes.
director?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, best family game going to Donkey Kong. Like I've yet to play Donkey Kong, but I've heard it's really good. It's just been too busy.
It's fun,
Um,
but
yeah, no.
I wasn't as high on it as others, except the ending. The ending was excellent.
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard. Best Sim Strategy. This was a weird one for me too. Nominees were Two Point Museum, Tempest Rising, Jurassic World Evolution 3, Civilization 7, and The Alters. But it went to Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles.
Oh,
Um,
cheating, yeah.
a game
But
that came
also,
out in 1997.
yeah. But also, like, it's funny because Civ, the newest Civ is always like poorly received when it comes out. It's kind of like a running joke.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's like
I don't know.
I was mostly surprised that The Alters didn't win this because The Alters was pretty well received when that came out, and I heard a lot of good buzz about it. And I thought, hey, surely this new game that came out this year will win over a 1997 game that's or a remake that's pretty one to one with the original. I mean, it has like updated UI and like a more modernized mode and voice acting added. Like I'm not trying to put down the amount of work that went into it. I'm just kind of surprised that it won over something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Uh, Best sports racing game. This one is ridiculous to me. EA Sports FC 26, F1 25, Rematch, and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, but it went to Mario Kart World. I have a hard time believing that all the other games are somehow not as good as Mario Kart World. Delilah, how much time have you spent playing Mario Kart World?
Several hours.
Okay.
It's more Mario Kart. The open world added nothing, and it's definitely not a system seller like I thought it would be.
Right. Well,
But
it is a system seller, but it's disappointing as hell, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
Like,
it didn't do as much for me as I hoped it would.
yeah. It's like when, like, me and my wife moved in with our in-laws, and we put a lot of our pretty much our whole lives into storage, and we had to make the decision of like, oh, what games are we going to bring with us and what are we going to put away for to not touch for a long time. And the Mario Kart conversation came up because we play a lot of Mario Kart together. It's one of our favorite games to play together. And we got the Switch too. We got Mario Kart World. It's like, well, we don't need to bring Mario Kart 8. We could put that in storage.
Yeah, but
Guys,
I also did
I
vote
can't
for
tell
it.
you I can't tell you how much I regret that decision. That's all I want to say. I miss Mario Kart 8 so much. Um,
Yeah. I did vote for it though, only because I hadn't played any other game in this category, so that's probably
yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. Rematch looked cool. That's the same developer as Sifu, and it's like it's a soccer game, but like a lot more technical. And I thought the idea of that was really cool. It's like I think the ongoing joke for that one was like, what if you played Rocket League, but it was people? Um, but yeah, I don't know. Mario Kart World is a huge disappointment, and I'm kind of like, really, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
And this isn't the last one. We have one more to talk about after this. Innovation and accessibility. Went to Doom: The Dark Ages. All the nominees were Assassin's Creed Shadows, Atomfall, EA Sports FC 26, and South of Midnight. I still have yet to play Doom: The Dark Ages. But yeah, I heard that the accessibility features in Doom were really really good.
Yeah, I don't really use those features, but I did play it, but I played it on nightmare mode, but I
Mm.
did remember that they had a scale for like parry timing. But if you do the parry timing scale on nightmare, it gives you like a special like symbol to indicate that it wasn't like proper nightmare. So I didn't
Okay.
do that. Plus I didn't feel the need to. Um but that was the only accessibility feature I noted, and that's why I voted for it, because it's the only game in this category that I played and that I noticed accessibility features for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying. I think we're not the best equipped to talk about the merits of accessibility features in games. But I just want to call it out. And then the other, besides Expedition 33 sweeping, the other super obvious award, the one we can end on, unless you guys really want to talk about the esports and content creator awards. Um,
I voted for Charlie
No.
and he won, and that's because he's the only person that I actually watch.
yeah, I
Sometimes even.
I occasionally watch him, but like I don't care. What a
Those are
stupid
some
award.
other awards you can get rid of to replace with actual,
Yeah.
Yep.
meaningful rewards.
But just the other obvious one was most anticipated game. The nominees being 007 First Light, Marvel's Wolverine, Resident Evil Requiem, and The Witcher 4, and the obvious winner, to the point where there just wasn't even a point to having this award, was Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, I wish this category was a little bit limited to games that are confirmed to have a 2026 window or
It
release
was
date.
it was weird that Witcher 4 was nominated, because usually they have been sticklers for that, and they weren't for Witcher 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Um like I predicted and thought Marvel Tokon was gonna be on there. Because a lot
Yeah.
of fighting game heads are like really stoked on that one. But Witcher 4 was there, and I was like, what? That doesn't even have a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um and like I said, they've been sticklers for that in the past. Like Grand Theft Auto 6 was like a confirmed thing and not on there because there was no year attached to it. There was no
Again,
time
this
frame
is this
attached
is
to it.
another award. What the fuck is the point of this?
Yeah,
Pick
I mean
more
it can go
meaningful
away no
awards.
matter
Yeah.
what. It's like
Yeah.
the hype award goes to, like, come on, get rid of that. That's so stupid. But yeah, since it's there, we can just go ahead and say that, like, yeah, nothing was gonna win over Grand Theft Auto. Like
This is the you'll get so many of these awards if you keep delaying your game award.
right, like Grand Theft Auto 6, like, it got pushed to November. Um So it might not even make the I don't know if it'll make the cutoff for next year, and then if it gets delayed again, like it won't even come out next year. So
Yeah.
um yeah, it's a stupid award, but yeah, it was gonna go to Grand Theft Auto 6. Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk awards wise before we go on to the announcements?
No, I think it pretty much went exactly how I thought it was gonna go.
No, I thought just like kind of not awards related, but not sort of the next topic that we're gonna talk about. Geoff made like a speech in the beginning about losing his dad and stuff, and I like cried because like it's been a hard year for me too, and like yeah, sorry to be like corny, but that just like really hit. So it just made me
Mhm.
feel like not everyone else's 2025 sucked like mine's. So I appreciated him saying that, and yeah, because I like video games so much, I think it hit even harder. I also thought it was interesting how many freaking famous people were at this damn show, like Evanescence, David Harbour, Mila Jovovich, a bunch of WWE champs,
Well,
and Lenny Kravitz.
that's because they're all in the freaking Street Fighter cast,
Oh my god,
Yeah,
yeah, we
apparently.
didn't even let's not talk about that. That was so fucking cringe. Oh my god.
I actually loved it just because I
You
like
would.
wrestling.
You would love that.
But it
They
did go
have
on
fucking
really
good
long.
animated movies for Street Fighter. Why whatever. Let's not talk about it. It was cringe.
The
Move
movie's
on.
gonna be so bad that I can't wait. I feel like it's gonna be like the Mario movie where it's just so horrible, but like you can't help but like it.
It'll
Wait,
be the
which
room
Mario
of
movie?
The one with John Leguizamo.
Okay. Okay. I saw that for the first time like last month on 35 millimeter film. That was a bad movie, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't like it.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
because it actually has like there is talent involved in the making of it. Yeah, so
Oh, I mean, the stories behind them filming that movie, like they had a miserable time.
yeah.
We're not going to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993, but like yeah. Anyway, I agree with you, Delilah. I did think that his opening speech was, you know, it was heartfelt. It was heartwarming. It's just I also think he can do better with
Yeah.
the running of the show. That's I don't want that. I don't want him having a heartfelt moment to take away from that necessarily. But
And
it was nice.
the only other commentary I give on the actual award ceremony itself is Miss Piggy was a little too drawn out. You need hecklers. Like every year, the
Yeah.
hecklers need to
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah, well, I think
The
that's like
hecklers are always the best Muppets
I think
in
the
everything.
the comment that Delilah made earlier is that the Muppets were more entertaining last year and they were less entertaining this year, and I think that's because like there wasn't a lot of self-deprecation this year because of the change and having Miss Piggy over the
Mhm.
hecklers.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the self-deprecation is like fine, whatever. He's acknowledging the things that people criticize him for, but it was like at least, you know, being a little self-deprecating, and self-deprecation is like, you know, to me, good humor. And this was just very self-indulgent. I'm gonna flirt with Miss Piggy, and it
Which
was weird.
flirting with Miss Piggy would be fine for like one or two little skits, but then like drawing it out with Rolf like playing the piano
Yeah.
it was not a good
I
choice.
mean,
I agree.
of the segments, I thought that was my favorite, but you know, whatever. Can't all be winners. I also think that the segment let me find exactly what the segment for the Game Changer Award going to Girls Make Games, that was a really heartfelt moment, and the game looked interesting and something I kind of want to check out. But yeah, I just wanted to call that out too.
Again, too long.
Yeah,
Eh,
that was a designated
I
pee
thought it
break
was
for most
I
streams.
think I think that's just because like we're so announcement brained. Like I don't know. I would like more of that kind of shit. Maybe that's just me. I don't think it's just me, but I would like more of that kind of thing than
I think like you're
friggin'
very like you care a lot about the industry and developer health and stuff like that. Not that I don't care about those things, but for this specific show, I'd rather not.
yeah, but that's also part that but that's the problem I
Delilah,
was
I love how
alluding
you
to
realize
earlier,
like
right?
halfway through how that wait a minute, oh, this makes me look bad.
It's like that's what I was alluding to earlier though, right? It's like Geoff also claims to care about this sort of thing. So I feel like he should be highlighting it more. But we don't have to
Yeah.
repeat ourselves, right? We got to stop doing that, right? Um what I want to go into announcements. Are you guys ready to talk like your top 5 favorite announcements?
Yeah.
So I feel like all three of us are gonna have two in common because this show blew its load within like the first 5 minutes. Um, I'm of course talking
I
about
think I
Star
tried
Wars
to.
and Divinity.
So I anticipated that, and I didn't choose those deliberately.
Okay.
Because I anticipated at least one of, if not both of you, choosing Divinity and Star Wars.
Which, from a pacing perspective, the show actually kind of hurt it.
Yeah,
Because
I
one
agree.
of those should have come at the end.
Yeah,
I yeah, I
more so
think
than
that
High Guard.
yeah.
Because
Well,
High Guard already looks like it's going to be awful.
we can
It's
talk
just
about that. We can talk
yeah.
about that later. Yeah, we can maybe close the show with talking about the kind of the disappointment, the big disappointment around the Game Awards, which I think is really stupid, but we'll talk about it. So why don't we just start with Star Wars, Jason, if you want to call that one out.
I mean, there's nothing really much to talk about other than it was like a very brief teaser trailer that looks like Star Wars Old Republic. I mean, it looked like Star Wars generally is the even just from the music and some of the visual cues. Casey Hudson is in charge, which is a good sign.
Oh, a
But
concern. I think that that got a lot of people really excited.
no, that's why I said it was a good sign. Yeah.
Oh, a good sign. I thought I heard it is a concern. Sorry,
No, I said
I
good
just
sign.
misheard you.
The fact that they
Okay.
were able to get
Yeah.
him on. The only thing is people need to buckle in because the fact that all they really had was that teaser and they're just announcing it now means that that shit could be 3, 4, 5 years out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't
So
remember. I think I saw Jason Schreier say it
I
wasn't
I
coming out till 2030, and I'm like,
I just pulled
"Hello,
up his
Todd
blue
Howard."
sky. I just pulled up his blue sky to call that out. So Jason Schreier earlier today, the day we're recording, said last night's biggest surprise was Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic, led by Casey Hudson, who directed KOTOR and Anthem. Exciting news for lots of people, but Lucasfilm said the studio was founded this
Like a
year, which
year ago,
means
yeah.
this year founded this year,
Okay.
which means that 2030 is an optimistic guess. Maybe it'll be a PlayStation 7 game.
That's crazy. And it's
Um,
it's so sad because it's like KOTOR remake was so super exciting of an announcement and that got canned. And then you're gonna go ahead
well,
and announce a game this early? Like just stop doing it. It
so
looked great, don't get me wrong. And I actually thought that was Ray for a second because of the hair. And I love that people are calling it FOTOR, but
yeah.
yeah, it's just too early.
I just want to call out KOTOR remake is not canned. Steven Totillo's game file newsletter, I think in the past week, reported a scoop that according to legal documents, there's a new developer for that game, and I don't have the name of that developer off the top of my head.
Which is fine, but I think my point stands either way is like why are we announcing games this early?
I mean that's been an industry issue for so long
Yeah.
that like I don't even bother asking the question anymore. Madhead Games, who is also the developer for Hellraiser Revival and Saber Interactive, are seemingly the developers working on KOTOR remake, according to Stephen Totillo.
Cool.
So, and I personally think Stephen Totillo is a source you can probably really trust on that. So, just like
Yeah.
Jason Schreier. So yeah, I mean, I thought that looked good. I look forward to seeing more, but
Yeah, we don't really know that much other than what we know of Old Republic. And hey, this is like a chance for redemption. Like, obviously, Casey Hudson he also directed Mass Effect. And BioWare is in the shits right now. It's kind of one of those fallen from glory. They used to be one of the poster childs of the
well,
industry. Now they're in the
to be
shitter.
to
I
be
know
fair,
I
a
know
lot
that
of that
BioWare
comes down from the
itself is
top.
not. Yeah, but the point is that Casey Hudson, is kind of the name in the same way that Todd Howard is the name for Bethesda, or Bethesda Game Studio at least.
By the way, I find it really funny and ironic that Todd Howard was the one to present Best Game Direction.
Hey, it just worked. It just worked.
But I think I mean the situation with BioWare is complicated, right? Because a lot of that comes down from executive pressure to adhere to a lot of industry trends, like the development of Veilguard, sorry, was very, very tumultuous and complicated because they shifted the game and what the game was so much. And
Right.
I know the
I remember
problems
leaks.
run
Yeah, there were. I remember leaks for when it was called like Wolfsbane or something like that, like years ago, and it was a very different
the
thing.
Dreadwolf.
Dreadwolf, yeah.
Or Dreadwolf. But yeah, like it's and you know it's only about to get worse with the with EA kind of being acquired by certain groups that might not allow for a lot of creative freedom in the studios underneath it. So that all aside though, like yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the fate of the Old Republic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Faux tour, as it were.
Yeah.
Delilah, you got one, or did you also have Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean I had Star Wars and Divinity as well. Mostly I never played a Divinity game to be honest. But I because of the success of Baldur's Gate, I think it's
Very
definitely something
similar. Very
more.
similar, same engine, just different. Baldur's Gate is way more Baldur's Gate 3, that is way more accessible and story focused. Whereas Divinity is far more combat focused, a lot more reading dialogue rather than listening.
Oh my God. Oh, okay.
But
Interesting.
the combat for Divinity 2 Original Sin. I just want to talk about this trailer again, not a gameplay trailer, but this trailer for Divinity is fucking awesome. They were fucking having sex in this trailer, like straight. I was
So disturbing.
surprised. Yeah, I was surprised at how graphic the trailer was, but it was awesome.
Hey, this show started at 7:30
Yeah,
Eastern, right? Like the kids are put to bed.
There was
You got
literally a child in the presence of all of this in the trailer.
yeah.
Um,
It was a pretty fucking bonkers trailer. And it solves the mystery of the desert gate, right?
yeah,
yeah.
There was this big mysterious gate door thing erected in a California desert that Geoff had been teasing, and so began the mystery of what is this related to? And like there were people saying, "Oh, it's Diablo," and Jason Schreier quashed that one pretty quickly. And then there were also people saying it's Elder Scrolls. He's like, "No, it's not Elder Scrolls." Like,
But the trailer had like that Diablo type like disturbing nature to it, like very graphic. So like, I remember like the
well, I mean, oh, you're talking about the Diablo trailer?
this one and
no,
also
no, she's
previous Diablo trailers are
Okay,
very
because I was
graphic.
yeah,
I was gonna say
she's very much right in that it was reminiscent of it was almost like it was reminiscent. It was like a cross between an old Diablo trailer from back in the day and like a Witcher trailer, which a lot of people, including myself, I thought it was Witcher at first.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Um,
I thought this was a lot more graphic than any other video game trailer
Oh
I've
yeah,
ever seen.
100% the most
But
graphic trailer
I
ever.
mean, like I said,
it is
it's the
also
first time seeing people have sex and right up in front in your face in a video game trailer in like one of these shows. Yeah,
it also is just like really ironic that like we get this trailer and then later in the show we did get a Diablo 4 trailer for Lord of Hatred, the new expansion coming.
Yeah,
And that was like by comparison so tame.
right.
and so
And
um
lame.
also
Yeah.
so graphic. Yeah, no, this trailer was a little bit traumatizing, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm very curious to see how that translates to the main
It does
game.
look like this new Divinity game, Delilah, because you said you didn't play the previous ones. It looks like this new Divinity game is going to be a bit much darker in tone. I don't remember
Yeah.
Divinity 2 being that dark. It was more like in line with something like Baldur's Gate, if I remember correctly, in terms of like the tone.
Okay. Yeah, I like dark.
um one that I want to call out because I want to beat both of you to the punch because I'm sure this is on your
I
list
already
is
know.
Resident Evil Requiem, baby.
Yep. Oh my God, that's on my list too. Oh my God, thank
um
God Leon's in it because I was going to be super disappointed if he wasn't.
I mean, look, and there's a lot to unpack with this because it almost feels like the worst kept secret because a certain insider can't seem to shut the fuck up and stop begging people for attention. Um, but so it kind of was like a thing of like, yeah, he's probably in the game, and it looks like the capacity is there's you'll be playing as him in some capacity. I don't necessarily know if it's like the same as like Village, where you have like a 15-minute segment as Chris In that game. I guess spoilers for Resident Evil Village if you haven't played that and didn't know you play as Chris for 15 minutes or so.
Oh, please. Chris is in like almost every Resident Evil game.
It's yeah, I mean, it's just like, but like my point being is like we don't know the capacity of which you play as Leon.
Well, I'm hoping it's more. I'm hoping it's more like a split in the same way that 2 is, except different gameplay. More like 6 almost, but not with the stigma of being a bad game.
Look, six is better than it gets credit for, man.
But the point the point I'm making is that I'm hoping that there are essentially two. You choose a character and it's almost 2 separate games. Because I do not want Red Evil 9 to be what we saw, at least what we saw in that previous trailer with Disgrace. I was happy to see the Resident Evil 4 remake-esque gameplay from Leon.
Yeah, I mean, Requiem was never going to be just like that early because that like they even called that out as like an early section, and like that is pretty fitting for at least what a lot of more recent Resident Evil games have been like, where you're a little more helpless at the beginning, but eventually you, or at least like with 7 and 8, right? Like with the Ethan Winters games as they were, you start off a little helpless, and then you start like becoming more equipped. And like I wasn't opposed to what we were seeing with Grace whatsoever, but I knew that was just an early section. I knew that wasn't the full game, and I think they even said that pretty openly that it was an early section. Everything we were seeing. So, but yeah, like Leon's back, looks awesome. I was always this is frankly of games that are coming out, that actually have dates. Like this is my most anticipated. For sure. And that's like heavily just like me and my tastes as far as that goes. Like I didn't really like a lot of I didn't really like a lot of what we saw last night, and I typically don't with Geoff shows because he has a really wide reach and tends to go for like the same cinematic AAA bullshit that I just don't drive with anymore. And that I have some very different takes that I don't think you guys are gonna call out. So like I'm hoping to bring some light to those. But like Resident Evil Requiem, yeah, that's like my AAA, like hell yeah, let's do it. That's my most anticipated game. It's probably my top pick of the night.
Capcom has been on a fucking roll with Resident Evil. Keep the roll going, hopefully.
Yeah.
I do want to call out, like, I'm also excited for Pragmata. It's just like the trailer this time was in the pre-show and it just called out the date. So like it's not one I really want to call out in this capacity, but I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, that kaiju fight in Times Square looked really cool.
Jason, what's another for you besides Resident Evil, I guess?
So we've already touched on 3. Oh, this is one that probably will surprise you guys just because of my animosity with Alan Wake. Control, the Control sequel. So if I remember correctly, we did an episode. Go listen to our episode on the original Control. I remember enjoying the gameplay and the visuals and just wanting kind of more. I think I had some issues with the story. I can't quite remember. I do remember enjoying like playing it though. That trailer was fucking awesome. It was like a mixture it was a mixture of the original Control with fucking Inception, which I love. It's still to this day my favorite Nolan movie. Plus like melee combat. The combat looks similar but also very different with the focus on melee. Like it just looks fucking awesome. It was a great trailer, well put together, and I'm really, really excited to see what comes of that.
Yeah, I loved Control 1, so I'm really excited to see Control 2.
Yeah, Delilah, was that also on your list?
Yeah, it was, but I also added extras because I figured there would be a lot of overlap.
Okay.
So did I, yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, we're going to be going through these. We're going through these pretty fast. So.
I guess there's one extra I can call out too that I didn't have highlighted, but I can highlight it now. Okay. I guess Delilah, what's another?
Oh, I mean, for me, the thing that had me the most Jones is hands down Phantom Blade Zero, which we already saw gameplay on, and the gameplay that we saw was very good. This trailer that they showed though was so fantastic because I didn't realize that it would be like a Mega Man original God of War type game where you absorb the abilities of the enemies that you beat and you're able to like wield that. I think that's so freaking cool, and just like everything about this game looks good. The combat looks really fluid, so yeah, this is like top 3 along with Resident Evil 9 and GTA 6 for me in terms of anticipated.
That did look sick, I'll admit. It's also really funny that you bring up Mega Man.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Jason?
no, just when you said it's funny you brought up Mega Man, I was like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
that was
I
like
mean,
that was like one of the big farts of the show for me.
oh,
I
I
like
mean, go ahead,
Oh, sorry.
Delilah. No,
No, I
go
was
ahead.
just
Go ahead.
saying Mega Man X is, like, one of my favorite childhood games of all time. So, like,
Yeah.
anytime a new Mega Man game comes out, I wanna root for it, but I just, like, there's been, like, a lot of not so good Mega Man games lately, and I just found it interesting that
Well,
they had a whole orchestra just to show
Oh
Mega
yeah,
Man and, like, a few
that's
minutes
what
of
I'm saying
gameplay.
is that I understand that there are a lot of people who do really love Mega Man, and I remember when it was still big and new games coming out, you know, up to PS1 and stuff, when I was a kid, but I don't care. And I found it funny how big of a deal they were making of it. And like throughout the entire show, Jeff is like, "You'll never guess it. You'll never guess it." And then it's like, "Oh, it's
to be fair, I don't
Mega
think
Man."
anyone did.
I mean, yeah, nobody guessed it, but it's like, really fucking 2D Mega Man.
No, see, I think it's a hype announcement. My problem with it is that the 2027. Why are you showing this now? Come
Right.
on, man.
That's the other thing I'm
Yeah.
gonna say is the gameplay segment. It looks like they just threw that together like in the past couple months, like just to
I
have
mean,
it for
they probably did, but like
yeah.
because that's just how vertical slices work. But like, I don't know, man. Like, it is a hype announcement. The last Mega Man game was not very well received. I think that was 11,
Yeah.
and that came out I think in 2018 maybe, came out a long time ago.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's good to see Mega Man coming back. I don't think this is on
I'm not
any of
saying it's
our.
not. I'm just saying most people don't care. It's
I think you're making a lot of assumptions this episode, man. I feel like more people care about Mega Man than you think. But I do agree that it just like the fact that they threw 2027 on there is like, man, you should have just left that out. Like,
Yeah.
you should have just left 2027 out and just given us that announcement. Because I feel like putting a year like that's that far out on your trailer immediately deflates like any of the hype you could have garnered versus just
it
like
wasn't the
showing it.
only yeah, it wasn't the only game when it did that where it was like more to
Oh,
come
I
in.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, the first game that they showed in the pre-show, the Free Shepherd, which looks really interesting, also 2027. It's like, man, I hope that's not a theme of this show, and it wasn't, but still, don't show games that aren't even coming out until 2027. And if they aren't coming out until 2027, don't fucking say that.
Yeah, it's
All right.
probably they were probably the only few people that could afford to put something there.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, Capcom had like several games in this show. I mean, we had Pragmata, Resident Evil, and Mega Man. So, we just I wore my Devil May Cry shirt while watching the show last night, and I couldn't manifest a new Devil May Cry, and that upset me a little bit. Capcom showed up in force and didn't give me the one big new thing that I would have wanted, but it's okay. I'll forgive them. Um, yeah. So Control Resonant was also on my list. So I guess we can squash that one out. I want to bring up Bradley the Badger.
Oh my god. That
That
looks
looks
so fun.
that looks so cool. um, I guess that was that on your list, Delilah, or did you just
It
think it was
was one of
cool?
my, like, extras.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I like I didn't even realize like how much I think it took 3 of them for me to realize that it was like paying homage to other games and other franchises and stuff, and then like
Really?
got really weird and like just really piqued my interest. I don't know. It looks very whimsical and fun
Yeah,
and
I looked when I first saw the first few minutes of the trailer, I was like, "Oh, we finally got a Bloodborne 2." And then, like, he was doing, like, a visceral attack on the enemy, and a dodge, I was like, "Oh, this is really cool and
yeah.
creative." And also it has, like, one of my favorite movies of all time is Cool World, which is a really old, like, kind of like,
Oh
Who Framed
yeah.
Roger
Yeah.
Rabbit movie,
Yeah,
and it
no, I
had
know.
that
Yeah.
sort of, it had that sort of vibe,
It's
so,
not that
Yeah.
old.
yeah, I
Cool
guess.
World?
I mean, I
It
watched it
depends
when
how
I
you
was a
define
child,
old.
even though I probably
Like
shouldn't have.
for
Oh,
me,
okay.
old movies is like
1992. I guess that's
yeah, for me, old movies means like 60s, 50s. So
I guess I guess I meant older than, like, a movie that's coming out this year.
Have you guys seen that old movie, The Avengers? Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess 1992. I mean, it's older than me, but I guess yeah, it's not that old. I
I
guess I
was a,
just
a
dated
kid
myself a little bit.
watching a very mature cartoon movie.
Yeah. But yeah, Bradley the Badger. I thought that looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Jason, what's another one?
So I think this is the last one I had on my original top five. The little more esoteric one. What was it? Antos. The one Stellan
Ah,
Skarsgård voicing. It was almost like a blend of like Soma and Bioshock. It looks very intriguing.
Yeah, that almost made my cut. And that is from the same Frictional Games, the same and like the same creators as Soma and the first Amnesia game at least, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. So that does look pretty cool.
That looked like y'all know how I feel about Alien. I'm big into sci-fi horror.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that looks right up my
I
alley.
think we all I
And
think
it's
we
got
all are.
and it's got those like those Bioshock vibes. Like there's some
Hmm.
guy, some esoteric figure who's got some philosophical views that are informing everything.
Lots of quoting Ayn Rand and
Yeah, I remember Soma giving me a existential crisis, and this game already started just in the trailer. I was like,
yeah.
oh god, these questions.
Man,
And
it's really funny.
It's fucking Starsguard, man. Oh my god,
Oh,
Yeah.
recently like
so
he's been
good.
on a roll with not just obviously the one everybody's gonna think of as Andor, but also like the Chernobyl series. Like he's always killed it.
I mean, I feel like he's always killed it. I've always liked Stellan Skarsgård, but
Yeah.
yeah, this almost made my list, and I do think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, I find it really funny. We got a recent comment on our Soma video being like, did
Wow.
these guys hate each other? And I'm like, were we really that angry at each other in the Soma episode? It's an old episode of ours.
I do
Go
not
listen
I
to it
think
right
remember.
now.
people confuse disagreeing with hate because they don't know how to disagree without
Yeah, I
assuming
know.
there's dislike for the
Yeah,
actual
because
person.
we do
If you,
disagree sometimes quite vociferously, but it's always
I
in
mean,
good faith.
we
Yeah.
have in this episode.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to hear the one instance where I genuinely hated Jason, go listen to Alan Wake 2.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm being facetious. But anyway,
Yeah, but I'm not gonna like
Delilah.
fucking stay up at night and think of hating Kill Mark because he doesn't like the way the Game Awards is funded.
Yeah.
Um, I
I'm
guess I'll
sorry, I just
cheat with
don't
this
care that
one.
much about the Game Awards to want to kill Mark over it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of cheating on this one because both of these announcements were looped in, but the new Tomb Raider games, I guess the remake of like the
Yeah,
original
I was gonna
game
mention
and
that.
Yeah.
a new game.
Yeah.
I like that Lara Croft looks more classic
Yes.
than she did in like the more recent
The
games,
Survivor games.
which I loved those games either way. But yeah, I thought this was a nice like reimagining of Lara Croft. So I'm really excited to
See,
get back to
I was not a giant fan of the more recent the Square Enix ones. I mean, I understand they're not bad by any means, but I do like again, like you said, how the design seems more classic, but also how the game in general it just looks more like the games used to be in the PS1 days.
yeah.
Kind of like zany adventure, action fun.
Hmm.
I mean, part of the thing was that, like, yeah, those Survivor games really leaned into like, wow, Uncharted's big, and that was inspired by Tomb Raider. Why don't we reverse that? And they became like they just felt really derivative. Or I haven't played them yet, but my understanding is they just felt really derivative of Uncharted. I mean, you even watch
Yes.
like a trailer or footage of them, and it's just like, yeah, they're really going for like the big set pieces, and like she's constantly in danger. I remember the gruesome death animations for her in
Yeah.
at least the first one, and it's just like Jesus Christ, man! Like, did you have to do that?
I
Yeah, I
mean,
know.
yeah, you were more often wielding a bow and arrow than you were dual pistols. I don't even remember. Did
Yeah,
you ever wield dual pistols in those? Like, I can't remember,
You
but
you get a shotgun, but the Tomb Raider games were definitely more like survival than the Uncharted games,
yeah,
which were more like action pulpy
yeah, it
type.
felt like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
inspired by both Uncharted and Last of Us.
Yeah,
Well, the first
maybe.
one came out before The Last of Us, so probably other survival games would have come out that were getting big at the time. So
The second one has a lot more survival stuff in it than the first one.
that's fine. But like the point being though is like, yeah, it's cool to see like the series is coming back in like kind of a big way because we got those remasters of 1 through 6 really. Because they were split up with 1 through 3 and then 4 through 6, and who knows, we might see more remasters of like the other outside games. But like, yeah, like Tomb Raider's coming back in a big way. This is pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Like,
It's cool to see.
two new
It's cool to
titles
see
announced.
Lara Croft running around, dual wielding pistols, fucking fighting dinosaurs. It doesn't make sense. Video games didn't used to have to make sense. It's nice to see us kind of come out of this. I don't want to.
Hyper realistic.
Yeah, but it kind of all stems from that era where everybody's trying to be super cinematic like Naughty Dog, and I don't want to besmirch Naughty Dog, but like everybody kind of started blending together in the same style that
Oh, I mean,
is, much more
I've
realistic and grounded, and we're now kind of getting back and seeing more games that are like classically fun, just fun.
I've been feeling that way about pretty much every first party PlayStation game for a while. They just all start to like become homogenized and feel exactly the same. And
Right, in third person, over the shoulder, yeah.
and there's some exceptions, and definitely some outliers that don't quite fit the mold anymore. But like I felt that way about God of War. I feel like modern God of War just feels like it's trying to be The Last of Us. And yeah, anyway, and it's not that I don't like those games. It's just I just feel like they're all starting to blend together a little too closely. But point being, though,
I agree.
Tomb Raider's hype. Tomb Raider's hype.
Yeah.
Yes.
A quick point about what you just said that relates to the Game Awards, and I didn't have this on my list, but Saros I've been looking forward to for a long time because I really, really love Returnal, and I feel like that's one of the PlayStation games that don't fall into that category, although it does have some cinematic stuff. That's not the focus. So I'm excited for that game, but I've been excited for that game, and I didn't think the showcase was necessarily something that hyped me more for the game than I already was, although it did show that there's going to be a lot more like dialogue, I guess.
Yeah, because like I also like loved Returnal, and I couldn't be more excited about Saros. I agree with you completely that it's one of the ones that is the exception to the rule. It just looks so awesome and fun and fast paced and crazy. And if it's anything like Returnal, I'm gonna love it.
Yeah.
Despite my wife continuously reminding me of, man, you got really angry when you played Returnal. And I'm like, yeah, I know. All right. I know I did.
It's a sweaty game.
It's a sweaty game. Exactly. But anyway,
well, that's very much the developer Housemarque is very nitty gritty gameplay focused.
Yeah. And like that's part of why I loved it so much. That's a runner up for me. I pretty much for the exact same reasons that you described, Delilah.
Yeah.
But I'd say another one I was really into. I wouldn't say really into. I'm intrigued. I didn't love the opening for this one, but I did think once they showed gameplay of it, Stupid Never Dies looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's got like Devil May Cry and Resident Evil, and I think another action game that they called out. A lot of staff that worked on games like that in the past, making another really fun, colorful, fast-paced action game. And yeah, give me that. I'll eat it up. The music, the music that opened it was fun. It was just kind of long and unnecessary.
It was a bad trailer the way it was edited together.
It was bad until they showed gameplay. The problem is they showed this music video and then they showed gameplay, and it was like, why didn't you just set the music to the game? Anyway,
they wasted $1 million.
Yeah, but it was fun. I thought it looked really cool, and I'm into it.
In contrast, a good trailer that, and this is just a fun mention that I just remembered because you brought up this game. Toxic Commando has caught my attention. I'm a massive John Carpenter fan, so seeing a zombie shooter, it looks like it's going to be a co-op zombie shooter with the trailer. Presumably it's John Carpenter's own music that he's playing, and characters that are speaking with a very John Carpenter movie vibe. Fun mention, does look fun. Not going to break the mold with anything, but should be mentioned as well.
Yeah.
What's another one for you, Jason? Are you out? Do you have any runner-ups you want to bring up?
I gave the out just another quick mention besides Toxic Commandos. Total War Warhammer 40K. That's a pretty fucking big deal.
People.
Too bad. I wish I had a computer rig to play RTSs like I did back in the day, in the glory days of RTSs when I played Warhammer 40K, Dawn of War. And other people don't even understand. Like kids these days don't even know, man. RTSs used to be the shit, and then they just fell. They just fell off a cliff and went away. But I used to play Total War games. I wish I had a rig to play it. I wish this fucking looks awesome. Warhammer 40K in general is on a roll. Space Marines was awesome this year. Space Marine 2. Or not this year, whatever.
Last year.
And I just hope we get more 40K stuff like this.
Yeah, that's great. I
Delilah.
didn't have this. I had it as like an honorable thing because it's one of those games that I was so intrigued by, but I could tell that they didn't have enough money to have a longer trailer. But everything that I saw looked amazing, which is Forest 3. And I have no idea
Yeah.
if there's like a one or a two. I haven't been following it, but this trailer
Yeah.
was just
There's
really, really good.
The Forest, I think, was the first one, and then Sons of the Forest from a couple years ago was the second.
Oh,
So this is
okay.
Forest 3.
So that's like a survival like multiplayer thing.
Yeah. So or
Okay.
I don't know if I don't know enough about these games to I know the Sons of the Forest was like survival multiplayer like and it was really buggy when it came out, but it also like still garnered a huge player base. A lot of people were really into it while the bugs were getting worked out and stuff like that.
Right.
Um
Yeah. But, like, I didn't have it on my original list just because the trailer was so short. I didn't see enough to actually know what type of game it
It
was.
was one of it was one of those trailers where like it was short, but like the people that know got really fucking excited about it.
Oh,
So it's like one of those that's one of these things where it's like you'd be surprised at the wide appeal that some of these things have. Like you might
yeah.
not think that you might look at something like the Forest or Forest 3 and be like, oh, what I don't know what that was. But like meanwhile, there's like several million people that have played Sons of the Forest or the Forest and are like, holy shit, we're getting another one. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I knew how popular Sons of the Forest was because like friends of
Yeah.
mine played it, and I had no idea that this game was derivative from that until right now.
I mean, I will be. Maybe I should fact check myself because I'm making a big assumption in assuming that Forest 3 is tied to the Forest and Sons of the Forest. But just the fact that they kind of have the games tied together by just the word Forest, I'm pretty confident that Forest 3 is a follow up.
Yeah. Oh, while you're looking, I just had two more honorable ones to
Go ahead.
mention,
Go ahead.
which was Orbitals. It had like that like Dragon Ball type art. It was the Nintendo exclusive game. It's a
So
co-op game.
that one was actually on my primary list.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, like we're talking about those whether or not those co-op games are really appealing to a lot of people, but like man, they're appealing to me and that game looked so cool.
Yeah.
Like just two-player co-op, like two-player split screen game that has this really unique art style that's very just like retro like 80s anime.
Yeah.
And by the way, yes, Forest 3 is related to Sons of the Forest and the Forest.
Cool.
Um, and Night is the studio, and they were the ones that presented it. So yeah, it definitely is related. But yeah, going back to Orbitals, yeah, I that game looks so cool. My wife and I are absolutely going to play that because we really like those two. We play a lot of games together. We like when there's co-op games that we can play together. And so obviously when It Takes Two came out, like we've replayed it a couple times because she loved it
Right.
so much and I had such a good time playing it. And like Split Fiction day one, like we were on that. Like we had a great time playing it, and at some point we're gonna replay it and swap roles because we just want to experience what the other person experienced. So a game like Orbitals, and it has this really cool retro anime art style, looks really fun, like totally up our alley.
Yeah. Did you
Uh,
play as the cyber chick or the fantasy chick, by the way?
I played as the sci-fi
Yeah,
chick
me too.
because my wife is a big fantasy person,
Oh,
so she
that's
wanted to
cute.
play as I can't remember their names, but yeah, she wanted to play as
Yeah.
the fantasy lady.
Sad story for her, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, Split Fiction was really fucking good. Yeah, I really like Split Fiction. Anyway, what were one of your other runner-ups or
Oh, there was only
honorable
one more,
mentions?
which was Gang of the Dragon. I was like, "Oh, this is a Yakuza Yakuza game," but then I realized it's one of the Yakuza developers
It
making it. So I
not
was like,
just one of the Yakuza developers, it was the creator
Yeah.
of Yakuza,
"That's
The pro, the
crazy."
pro. Yeah,
Toshihiro Nagoshi.
I was really into that trailer, like the protagonist just not being like a, just the thing. But he's like a fucking hulking dude who looks like what you would actually think a real life Yakuza enforcer would look like.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not like this, like, hot, like, ripped, thin,
Yeah.
small yeah.
But come on, guys, he's no Kiryu, all right? Let's calm down. No, but yeah, that was
Kiryu.
also That was also on my added list because I got really confused by that announcement because I like, we see the I don't know, it's like it seems so Yakuza, and then you see the gate and I'm like,
I thought it was going to be an
Kamurocho?
actual Yakuza spinoff at first. Yeah,
Nah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it just looks like it's from the studio formed by Toshihiro Nagoshi, who is one of the primary creators of Yakuza, who left Ryuga Gotoku Studio some time ago. Obviously formed his own studio, and I guess is like making a new thing with what he knows how to make, which is
which is
Japanese
great. Yeah,
crime.
but this looks
And
a little bit more
specifically,
grounded. Yeah, it looks a little bit more grounded.
and it's also it looks like it's still being set. Well, Kamurocho is heavily like inspired by a real life district in Tokyo, specifically in I think Shinjuku, which is Kabukicho, and it looks like that's where this game is taking place, unless they fictionalize it again with something else, like Kamurocho is fictionalized Kabukicho, so
Yeah.
if they
Right.
just call it something else here, like it looks like it's the same big general setting as many of the Yakuza games are. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that. That looks pretty cool. Um, Little surprised and disappointed that we didn't see Stranger Than Fiction, which is the other Ryoga Gotoku game that they're
Oh,
working
right.
on. The like I think it takes place in like the 1920s and looks more detective themed.
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to that one. Kind of disappointed we didn't see it. But did you guys have any other games you want to call out before we get to I think the big upset that I just want to close the episode out on?
No.
No, no, I think I know what you're getting, and that's the only other real thing I have to
So
say.
I don't. I mean, I don't want to put down High Guard.
Oh, right.
I'm
That.
like I'm not necessarily bringing this up to put that game down. I do think that was a pretty lackluster way to end the show. I think a lot of people that are angry and the specific reason that they're angry about it need to calm the fuck down because
Mhm.
they let themselves get deluded into thinking something was going to happen that was never going to happen. So let's just start talking. I guess just a little bit about High Guard, because obviously it was like the big ending announcement, and I think they opened it fairly well, right? They got a lot of people hooting and hollering because they directly called out like, "Oh, a game being made by former Titanfall and Apex Legends devs." And like, the Apex thing is like whatever, but like the Titanfall thing is like people have been really wanting a Titanfall 3, and that did get like an audible reaction out of the crowd at the show. And then yeah, a High Guard was a
It
weird way to end things.
Yeah, it's another generic hero shooter without a clear vision that's going to fail within a few months of releasing. And on top of that, got a visual style that is cyber fantasy diarrhea that doesn't know what it wants to be. Um, and as probably of the three of us, I'm probably the most into like the hero shooter genre, and like Overwatch, Marvel
I
Rivals.
think still today, yeah. I mean, we've
Yeah,
all put our fair share of time into that genre, but you
but I mean,
still do it.
I'm still like sticking with it. I pay
Yeah.
attention to the news, the YouTubers, I play them. Um, and I've played a lot of these that have failed, and I can tell you that this is going to fail. Um, no, people are not going to come from Apex Legends to play this. People are not going to come from Overwatch or Marvel Rivals to play this. All of these abilities and shit are things we've seen in other games, and visually it
Yeah.
doesn't look interesting. Gameplay wise, it just I was dumbfounded. How did you not make a successor to Titanfall? Like that's what people would have wanted from
Well,
this
to be
collection
fair,
of
they
people.
can't.
People want
They
Titanfall
can't.
3.
Oh, a
No, no, no.
successor, you're saying.
Yeah, a
You're saying a
successor.
successor.
A
Yeah.
spiritual successor to Titanfall. People want Titanfall 3. That's not going to happen. How do you not
Yeah.
make a spiritual successor that people want? Nobody wants any
There's
more of these generic too like 10 years too late hero shooter.
well,
Even 10 years ago the Overwatch clones were failing. Like nobody wants this.
I think the problem with that assessment though is that while I don't disagree, right? Like you're making a game and a lot of people not everyone, but a lot of people that like played Titanfall 2 loved it, like do want a successor, a sequel or a successor, I guess, if they can't get a sequel, because it sounds like they can't. And that's because that same team and the same that's EA published, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, they found a lot of success with Apex Legends, and that's kind of where that whole studio shifted to. So the question then becomes with these other people that have that pedigree of working on those two franchises, those two games, is like, well, do you make something that doesn't have that IP, so it inherently isn't going to sell as well as a Titanfall 3 would, and is still going to cost a lot of money to make? Or do you try your hand at making something that it will be, free to play and have to rely on good community support with that same pedigree? And it's like, if it plays well, it has a chance. The problem, though, definitely, like I do feel, is the look. It just doesn't look very interesting. It looks pretty generic, like you said.
It almost
Yeah,
looks like just
I
an
have.
like the assets that come with Unreal Engine 5 for free, and they just flipped a bunch of them. Like it just it there's no coherent vision I can see from it.
My thoughts are very layered on this. I feel like the biggest problem is that it ended the show, so a lot of eyes were on it because a lot of people are like, "What's that big last thing?" Because that's what we're used to.
And there's
And
more on
had
that to come. I'll say. Just
Yeah,
continue.
Geoff Keighley did not do this game any favors. Yeah,
So if it was in the middle of the showcase, I think it would have been less of
Yeah.
such a big deal. The other thing is the reason why Apex was so successful, besides the fact that it was a pretty good game, is that it shadow dropped on a random day, and so the game spoke for itself.
Yeah.
Again, there's less time to like pick it apart based off a trailer, and more time for people to actually experience the game. Because who knows, this could be a great game. The third thing is there's hero shooter fatigue, just like you guys said. And
yeah.
so we have already a lot of hero shooters that are super successful, that are free to play, that are doing really well. Nobody really wants to do that. And like, I feel like I don't think this is as bad as Concord in terms of its presentation, but I just feel like after seeing the failure of that, you might want to be a little bit more careful about what you do with a game like
The
this. So,
market's credit in free to play is not the cure all that it used to be. Yes,
Yeah.
because people have their
And
free to play games that they already play and are invested in.
yeah, I mean that's the biggest issue, right? It's like no one is reasonably gonna quit playing Fortnite that has been playing Fortnite for years.
Nobody's going to leave
And
Apex to come to this. Apex is a very different
yeah,
game than this. Yes.
no one's gonna leave Apex. No one's gonna leave their free to play their free to play hero shooter or just free to play game in general to go to another one, because those roots have kind of been planted. You're kind of set. Like
And
you there's
Rivals is like one out of hundreds. There are very specific circumstances why it was successful. So don't even try to
and
bring the Rivals
but
excuse up. Yeah.
Well, but it's not even that too. It's also the fact that that was a fucking Marvel game. Like that's one of the
Yeah,
biggest
that's one of the
IPs,
big reasons.
or
Yeah.
yeah, like it. You can't really compete with that, you know. So I mean, I don't want. I'm like I said, I don't want to put it down. I do think it looks very generic. I do think it was a very weird way to end the show. I think that there is a large group of people that had different expectations for how the show is going to end. And they really played themselves on that. And I don't know how much. I know Jason followed this a little bit. I don't know how much you followed this rumor mill, Delilah. A lot of people deluded themselves into thinking that Half-Life 3 was going to be at this show. And despite all the insiders that have been talking about Half-Life 3 saying it wouldn't be at the Game Awards, and despite them saying that they didn't know when it would be announced, um, a lot of people had the expectation that it would be there last night. And I don't know why, despite all the evidence telling them that it wouldn't be. Shocker, it wasn't. Like, it wasn't there. Um, and I also think it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
And
A
I guess
game.
this is something unrelated to the Game Awards, just by nature of not being there and not needing to be there. But like, go ahead, Jason.
I was just
What
gonna
did you want
say
to?
Half-Life 3 would. Well, I don't know. Half-Life 3, Half-Life in general has been out of the zeitgeist for a while, but I feel like they have almost as much cachet as Rockstar Games does, to the point where like Grand Theft
That
Auto doesn't need to be at the Game Awards. Yeah,
exactly. Did Grand Theft Auto 6, did that trailer drop in the middle of like a state of play? No, it was just dropped on YouTube. It didn't have to be in anything. It's Grand Theft
yeah.
Auto 6.
It's almost
The
a
same thing
flex that they
happened.
just drop it themselves. Yeah,
The same thing happened with Red Dead Redemption 2. If I remember correctly, the Rockstar's Twitter account, back when it was still called Twitter, rest in peace. Um, they just tweeted out a red sunrise, and everyone knew what that meant, and everyone got excited.
and
And
to
then
be
they
fair,
then they dropped
Valve and
they dropped. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, to be fair again, Half-Life has not been in the zeitgeist. There are probably a lot of
Doesn't
gamers that
matter.
don't know, but yes, Valve as in general, like
But like,
yeah,
even if you haven't played Half-Life, or even if Half-Life hasn't been like totally relevant in God knows how long, if you play video games, you know what Half-Life is. You know what Half-Life
I
means.
wouldn't be so sure of that. There are
No, I
some
would
young
be very
kids.
sure of that. Okay, if you're a young kid that's playing like Fortnite on your phone, like yeah, maybe you don't know what Half-Life is. I'm not talking about that kind of audience, but I'm talking about like how many people open Steam every day. If Valve wanted to announce Half-Life 3, they would just put it as the first thing you see when you open
Yeah,
Steam. Like you open your Steam client and all of a sudden like this trailer starts playing, and it's the announcement of Half-Life 3, and that would blow everyone's fucking socks off.
yeah.
Sorry, it would
Honestly,
blow everyone's go ahead.
it's kind of a moot point, like because regardless of how much cash a Half-Life has, Valve has, like I said, about as much cachet as Rockstar. So yeah, they can do
I'm
just that. The point
they
is that
can
they don't need the Game Awards. Yeah,
they don't need the Game Awards. That's exactly my point. And I don't I like I said, despite everyone that has any sort of insider knowledge about what might be coming down the pipeline for Half-Life, um saying that hey, it's not going to be at the Game Awards. There were so many people that thought that it was, and I don't understand why. And like they got really angry about that last announcement for reasons other than it just looked like a disappointing game. And it was a disappointing way to end the show because they were genuinely like, "What the fuck is this? Where's Half-Life 3?" And it's like, "Are you kidding? Come on, grow up."
Yeah, well, you can't be mad at the show for what it doesn't have, but you can be mad at what it does have, and the way it ended sucked.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like sure, you could go ahead and say that. I just think it's ridiculous that people are mad that it wasn't Half-Life 3. It's just a
yeah.
very stupid thing to get mad about.
I have a given how short the Fate of the Old Republic trailer was, and teasery it was. I have a sneaking suspicion that um, Lucasfilm, and Disney paid specifically to have it at the beginning of the show and grease the wheels on that.
I mean,
Which
maybe.
I have a feeling that they would have preferred to have that towards the end as a closer, as a bookend, with Divinity opening. Um,
I hadn't
but
realized that there would like be that the developers got to choose where their trailer goes. I thought that Geoff chose that because it seemed
well,
strategic.
I'm saying that Disney would have paid extra money to
Disney's
specifically
got that
have it.
Disney money.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, I think Divinity would have been a better closer. Fucking Mega Man would have been a better closer.
Yeah.
I'll
I
agree with that
I
about Mega
I
Man. Yeah,
I mean that, man. Like that would have been a really hype closer. Like you probably wouldn't have liked it. A lot of people probably wouldn't have liked it, but I'm not even a Mega Man fan, and I would have been like, that was
yeah, it
kind
would
of
have been better.
awesome.
No, I agree. It would have been better than High Guard. Yeah,
Like just what a flex to end the show with Mega Man. It's like hell yeah, man. I don't
High
even like
Guard is
Mega Man
just
that much, but
High Guard just looks generic, and I already know it's gonna fucking die off within a few months of launching.
Do you think it would have been less negatively received if they released it that night?
No,
yeah. No, I think it would have, because to your point, like I forget Jason, if it was Jason or Delilah that said about Apex's drop, just like dropping on a random day. Like if this just dropped, that would have given people the opportunity to go check it out for themselves before they judge it. And if it winds up being good, then oh, it's a success.
Yeah.
This is all we have is that trailer, and everyone's kind of talking about how generic it looks and how it's in a crowded market, and it's all negative press. It's press, but it's negative press.
Yeah.
Well, I think
And
like leaving aside all the stuff we were just talking about regarding where it was placed within the show being the last game to be shown, even if it was dropped, all the other things, it looking generic, overcrowded market, people are sick of the hero shooter, generic, all the art style being,
well, that's what I mean
generic.
by a crowded market. It's both that the fact that there's too many games, and it's the fact that people are getting tired of how many
But
there
all that
are.
stuff, even if it just drops, all that stuff is still there, and people would still be
Yeah, but
mad to it.
at least they have a chance to give it a shot right away, right? Like instead of
I
sitting
guess.
here playing armchair pundit, like looking at the trailer and saying, "Hey, it looks generic." Like you still have the opportunity to download it and play it for yourself, and then make a final judgment. And if it turns out to be a good game, well, then hey, it probably just saved itself by doing so.
Maybe I doubt
Um,
it, but again, like I can already tell you, this game is gonna come out and fail within a few months.
Yeah, but the point that Delilah alluded to and that I agree with is that if it had dropped same night, like I think it would have actually had a chance to succeed.
Maybe.
I don't know that it has as much of a chance now, right? Like that's kind of the point.
Yeah. It would be nice to get a Resident Evil 9 demo. I would like that
I
soon.
mean,
I thought
I'm
that was
sure
gonna
they'll
happen here,
Yeah,
but
I was surprised
yeah,
we didn't get one. Yeah.
we will probably get one. It'll probably just be like maybe a month out from the game, so
yeah,
probably
in
January.
January.
Yeah, I'd
Um,
expect it in January.
I also wanted to give just a little bit of love to 2 games that weren't at the nominations at all that I really enjoyed, which is
Mm.
Chronos New Dawn and the first Berserker Kazan. I feel like first Berserker could have potentially been nominated for like best action game, and Chronos for like maybe sound design, because I thought the sound design in Chronos was better than Silent Hill F. But ultimately Expedition 33 was going to win anyway, but I just
Well, Battlefield 6 won audio design.
audio, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Just wanted to shout those out. Give them some
Okay.
love.
Delilah's trying to balance out my disdain for Bloober Team, giving them some love. I see.
I really like that game.
Okay. Hey, I can't judge it, right? I haven't played it.
Well, when I finished Silent Hill F and then I played that, I was like, oh, thank goodness I got to play a good horror game.
I mean, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about from the from gaming's biggest night, or are we good to close?
No, as
this
much
out?
shit as we talked to, it was actually like we said at the beginning, one of the better shows for the Game Awards in years.
I mean, see, I don't have that same feeling. Maybe that's just me getting kind of ambivalent toward Geoff's shows. I feel like they all feel the same. There's too many things shown. A lot of them start to feel the same. This one had a lot more variety than I feel like he usually has, but at the same time, like I'm
I
walking
think
away.
pacing here was also key. Everything felt
Yeah.
snappy. Yeah.
Well,
And
at least in the
also,
first half.
there was some level of like visual and sound distinguishing that made me feel like I could separate myself from what's a real announcement versus from what's an ad. I don't know what they did because I'm not involved in that, but I did appreciate that.
I think at least they signposted the ads a little better with like, we'll be back after this. And then
Yeah.
you get that
Yes.
Wuthering Waves update trailer or whatever,
Wuthering Heights. Yeah.
Wuthering Heights. Like I think they
You
even
need
said
to
like
put the book in the fridge, Joey. Or no, it's the freezer. He keeps it in. Keeps The Shining in the freezer because he's too scared.
Yeah.
Friends.
Sorry. Wuthering Heights. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Wuthering Heights isn't a horror movie or a horror book.
No. In the episode of Friends,
yeah, I know.
Rachel
he
reads The Shining,
Cujo.
and he reads Joey. Joey reads The Shining over and over again, and he keeps it in the freezer because he's too scared of it.
Well,
and then
yeah,
when he's
and then
reading
Rachel
Wuthering
reads
Heights,
Cujo, and she puts it in the. He's not reading.
No,
He's not reading
they
Wuthering Heights.
swap.
He's reading Little Women.
Little Women. Oh, sorry. I thought it
It's
was
Little
Wuthering
Women.
Heights.
Yeah,
It's Little Women. Yes.
there we go. That's the whole
Also a good
point,
book.
Jason.
Yeah. Anyway,
what a tangent to end the show.
millennial talk. Yeah, you had to be there
Yeah.
to watch these shows.
Good lord. Okay, I mean, yeah, if we don't have anything else to talk about, let's close this episode out.
Yeah.
If you liked this episode, this isn't what we normally do. We usually play a game and then spoil that game. And the next game that we're playing and spoiling is Ghost of Yotei. It was supposed to come out this month, and life happened, and I'm very behind. And also the Game Awards happened, so there was something for us to talk about.
And also
So
Arcaishi
stay tuned.
happened.
Shut up, my God.
Yeah, I'm just being a dick now. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus
I'm
Christ.
purposely trying to provoke.
I'm not looking forward to that episode now. Jesus Christ.
You'll be surprised, actually.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Our next episode's on Ghost of Yotei, so stay tuned for that. But if you liked this episode, even though it's not our usual kind of content, please like the episode. If you listened on YouTube, throw us a like, leave us a comment, tell us what you liked or didn't like about the Game Awards. What were your favorite announcements? Are you happy Clair Obscur swept? Are you disappointed that Split Fiction won nothing like I am? Let us know in the comments, and also subscribe to the channel, and share the show with your friends, your family, anyone that you think would enjoy it. If you listened on Apple Podcasts, thank you so much. Please rate and review the show, 5 stars preferred. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. And stay tuned for next episode, Ghost of Yotei. And thanks for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Okay,
God,
cool.
how did I fucking get that? Yeah, it was Little Women. Why did I think it was Wuthering Heights? No. You know why? It's because there's another episode where they're going to the book reading club with Phoebe, and that's when they read Wuthering Heights.